Hello, welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Neil Magnuson. This is the show about THC. You know, our favorite three letters, truth, hope, and change. Yeah, the other three letters too, THC. And that's what it's really all about. It's about the hope that we have that we can change some things by telling the truth around THC. And we're coming up to 420. This is the last show for the THC Show before 420 2023 at Thornton Park. And boy, are we ever excited. There's a whole bunch of people that have arrived in town. All the plans are underway. And it's been chaotic, but it's been a lot of fun. And we're really looking forward to a very epic day coming up in 2 days. The weather report says that pretty nice looking day on Thursday, surrounded by a bunch of rainy days that have been happening all month here. It's probably one of the most rainy months in April on schedule in history, or on record, I guess. But looks like Thursday should be good, which is really great for our event for sure. We got Mercury's coming. We're going to roll up the world's biggest joint. We're going to try anyway. You know, it's quite a feat that we're trying to undertake here. We'll see if we can get that all taken care of and done. And if we do, then we'll be blasting out smoke from the world's biggest joint out into the crowd and into the hot box tent area right around 420. That should be a blast. Mercury's playing, like I said. Prada's going to be there. There's a whole bunch of top name groups. They're going to put on a really good show for us here in Vancouver. We're very, very excited about that. Leading up to that, I've been doing a lot of interviews, and the number one question that I get pretty much from all the different media outlets is, why are you doing a protest? What is there to protest? We've got legalization. There's government stores all over the place. Why is this still a necessary thing to protest at 420? And I'm surprised they asked that question, because I would think by now people would have realized that this government takeover by the Trudeau cartel of the cannabis industry, the monopoly that they've put in place there, is still maintaining the same high prices as they did before Prohibition. And that's completely ludicrous. And that's the number one thing, because that barrier all by itself of price eliminates a lot of people from being able to access through the legal marketplace. And the ones that are eliminated from being able to access through the legal marketplace are the most vulnerable amongst us. They're the ones that really need to have access more than anybody else. With the Trudeau cartel's plan to not allow it to be used for medical purposes by withholding high-dose edibles, or actually they're just regular dose edibles. I keep referring to them as high-dose edibles because they're a lot higher than what the government stores allow for, which is 10 milligrams per serving. And 10 milligrams per serving may well be the right dose for people that have not experienced cannabis edibles before. That's probably where you start, and then you go slowly from there. But for the vast majority of people who are familiar with cannabis edibles and have found what works for them, it's a lot more than 10 milligrams. And to be able to take it 10 milligrams at a time with all of the other packaging and baking around it or whatever it is, I mean, you know, each piece of chocolate or chocolate bar, 10 milligrams, you got to eat 10 of those to get 100 milligrams. Well, that's just not practical, and it shouldn't be foisted onto people. So this legalization, not allowing for access to high-dose edibles and keeping the price out of reach for most people that need it on a daily basis, the sick people, the poor people, and in this world, those people that are, you know, stuck on the hard drugs, and if they had easy access to high-dose edibles, they could use them to assist them through withdrawal. I mean, we really need to rethink this legalization, and there's a lot to protest. The quality of the cannabis is also somewhat suspect as the government continues to pound away that they need to have the microbe count down to 0.03 on the cannabis that's put into the marketplace. And that's a ludicrous number. They achieve that through radiation, which definitely interferes with the medical value, the terpenes and the cannabinoids that are on the plant. They're holding it so that they don't really want it to succeed, is what it looks like. They want to be able to cash in on all those consumers, but they don't really want the medical side of things to succeed. They claim that the government stores are non-medical. Now, I'm sure they're doing that because they don't want to admit that cannabis has all these medical values, because the Canadian government for over 100 years has been squandering Canadian tax dollars in a failed effort to try to prevent people from getting proper access to cannabis, with the criminal law involved as a deterrent. And so for 100 years, they've been penalizing people and penalizing and putting people in jail and taking people's homes, and people have lost their children, and all sorts of things have happened as a result of this attempt to prohibit for over 100 years. And they don't want to admit that they were wrong. I think that's the biggest thing going on here, is they don't want to admit that they were wrong in the first place, because maybe they're liable for suits. I think I'm going to sue the government coming up. We're going to see what happens over the course of the next year here. But as I look back on my life and see all the interference that's happened as a result of these government policies to try to prevent access to cannabis, well, I think I'm going to try to sue the government. I think a lot of us should do that. Maybe we should all join together and do that. And maybe that's what they're really afraid of, is they don't want to come out and admit it before it actually gets proven in a case of a court of law. But in a court of law, it's going to be shown that the Canadian government for the last 100 years certainly never did do their due diligence on understanding the actual dynamics or the dangers around cannabis, because the dangers are completely minimal. And in a world where we have commercial tobacco that kills 5 or 6 million human beings every 12 months globally, where we've got alcohol for sale and glorified all over the place, high strength alcohol, vodkas, whiskeys, you name it, alcohol is so prevalent in our society, really, really easy to get, and causes us a whole bunch of problems. So we're living in a world where the government of Canada, these public servants that are paid by the public to do the public's bidding, have decided for bad reasons and no real reasons, no reasons that would actually justify what they're doing, over 100 years ago, to use tax dollars to prohibit the use of this substance while continuing to allow and even profit on the sale of alcohol and tobacco, just to name two of them. So this has been wrong for a very long time. There's been lots to protest leading up to this, and legalization didn't leave us with nothing to protest. It's left us with a lot to protest. And in fact, we can't settle for what we've got here. This would be absolutely the wrong thing to do. For those of us that have been fighting for a long time for reasonable access, the ones we fought for the most for the last 25 or more years, certainly all the time that I've been involved, have been the medical users and the daily users. When we asked to have cannabis legalized and regulated, we did not expect that the regulations would be such that the price of cannabis would be kept way out of reach of those people that need it the most. So the medical patients are still stuck in the unregulated marketplace, because that's where the cannabis is more available, the high-dose edibles are available, and the price is less than what you're going to get from a government store. Even though Trudeau, in the lead up to his election and being elected prime minister from a non-party status, said that he was going to knock the stuffing out of the underground marketplace by having prices that they couldn't match. And they would be able to do that. I mean, they're growing to scale, huge greenhouses and lots of cannabis being produced at the same time. They could really get the prices way, way down on cannabis. And if that's what they had going on, low barrier, easy access to cannabis at really affordable prices, then we might be happy with the legalization. Then they might be able to put a dent in the cannabis or in the illegal marketplace. Not that that necessarily needs to happen. There was never really that big a need for it, but for sure, way better to have a store you can walk into than to go into some guy's basement suite or meet somebody in a parking lot or around a dark alley somewhere. Way, way better to have legalization. So legalization brought with us new legislation called the Cannabis Act, as all of you who are familiar with this know. And the Cannabis Act has within it a whole bunch of different things. First, it has its stated goals. So the stated goals of the Cannabis Act are to have a regulated supply that people use and to deter illegal activity. Those are the main two focuses that they say that the Cannabis Act is all about. But within the Cannabis Act is where all these barriers are. Barriers to access, age restrictions. You have to have a home. If you want to order it online, you have to have a computer, you have to have a bank account, all these things. And the most marginalized of us in society don't have those things in place. So what the Cannabis Act actually does, by creating all of these barriers, especially the price barrier, but all the barriers that keep people from accessing properly, is it forces those people that can't access properly into the unregulated supply. One of the stated goals of the Cannabis Act is to keep people on a regulated supply. But the Cannabis Act itself is forcing that large percentage of the population, those people that can't afford these inflated prices, into the unregulated marketplace. And it gets worse than that. Because when it comes to deterring illegal activity, well, of course, just having a demand in the unregulated marketplace spurs more activity in supplying that demand. But because they've gone to great lengths to protect the interests of the cannabis stores and the Cannabis Act, they've closed down and actively shut down access to those places that people would be able to go to get high-dose edibles and cannabis in general. So when you can't get what you need in the form of high-dose edibles, those people are now, many of them, forced into going to the other substances that are much easily available out there. You can tell that the other substances are really easily available out there by just how many people are overdosing on a daily basis. In all walks of life, in all demographics, people are overdosing. Many of them die. Over 11,000 of them have died since the beginning of this public health emergency. But that's just a drop in the bucket compared to how many people have actually overdosed. They don't end up dying, but that whole exercise of overdose leaves them with damaged brains, not thinking properly, not functioning properly from that point on. We've got a bunch of damaged human beings out there, and we've got a bunch of dead human beings out there, because obviously it's easy to access those drugs that are killing people. It's happening all around all the time. You can certainly see it in this neighborhood. You can go for a little walk anywhere a couple blocks radius of where we are broadcasting from, and you'll be asked on numerous occasions if you want some up, some side, or some down, because this whole thing is upside down. Easy access to high-dose cannabis edibles would relieve all of that, would have a place for people to go that isn't the hard drug supply. But because these people are being forced into that hard drug supply, that risky, deadly drug supply, it is increasing the activity in the hard drugs dealing side of things. So the Cannabis Act itself is creating a circumstance where more people are being pushed into the unregulated supply, and they're pushed into the unregulated supply of hard drugs, all of which is increasing criminal activity and enriching bad actors. So without any doubt, the Cannabis Act is itself the biggest barriers to achieving its own stated goals. It should be like the computer on Star Trek that, when presented with that proper logic, blew itself up. The Cannabis Act needs to be blown up. Long overdue. Not just a regulation here or a section there. That document needs to disappear. The Canadian government needs to deregulate cannabis and the cannabis industry. There is no need for all of this government interference and oversight. There certainly is no need for the ridiculous taxation that is put onto cannabis. The federal government, for example, takes $1 for every gram of cannabis that's sold through the legal system. That's $448 for every pound of nothing more than plant material, produced easily by any farmer anywhere. Easier and with a better yield than anything else that farmers bring to market. And we all know that farmers bring all their stuff to market at prices well below $448 a pound. To be clear, I'm not knocking the expensive price of cannabis. I just don't think the government should be taking their cut. There's no reason for it. What do they need that money for? What are they using that money for? Well, they're using that money for enforcement of the cannabis laws. So they're using that money to hurt Canadians, to protect the Trudeau cartel's monopoly, and for that they need to take a bunch of tax dollars. We're living in very, very corrupt times. Tax dollars are collected where costs are incurred. So with alcohol or tobacco, for example, costs are incurred. The policing costs related to alcohol are more than the policing costs for just about anything else. It's petty crime, it's domestic violence, it's vehicle accidents, it's all kinds of things that cost us a lot of money. Just the loss of work time for people that are involved heavily with alcohol, the medical costs to our system that have incurred because of people that are using alcohol heavier than what you should. And in fact, now they're saying that you really shouldn't have any alcohol. If you're going to, maybe a couple of small drinks a week is about what you should have before you start hurting yourself. Well, that seems a little ridiculous to me. I think people can handle a little more than that. There's no real obvious harm by having a few more drinks than that. I'm not a drinker, by the way. I'm not trying to justify my own behavior or anything. But still, the use of alcohol costs our society a lot. The use of commercial tobacco costs our health system a whole lot. When that's the case, then the government is perfectly justified to step in and collect taxes on those things so that, number one, they deter the use, so there isn't so much cost to society from the abuse of these things, because there isn't as much abuse because the cost is a little bit prohibitive for some people. So that's one of the things that taxes do. But the main thing about taxes is that it collects money that can be used to clean up the mess. So the money on policing and enforcement and on hospitals and on all this other stuff, taxes can help with that. And that's why they're justified in collecting taxes. But with cannabis, well, cannabis is a health benefit. Nobody's costing the society anything because they're using cannabis. It's a violent suppressor. It is a sleep aid. So if anything, people are more likely to be at work and work the hours that they're supposed to. They're less likely to be involved in domestic violence and other violent situations. It's a focusing tool for most people that use it. So that's why there's been no follow-up on the whole upheaval about what we're going to do with legalization, all those people driving impaired. Because there's very little impairment going on with cannabis and driving. And where there is, where people are using beyond their regular regimen of dose, or wherever they're using edibles or something like that, or when they just know that it's caused some impairment, they're not like alcoholics. They're not like people who don't even realize that they can't drink or can't drive. Cannabis people, when they've imbibed too much, get a little paranoid about it. They don't want to drive because they think maybe they're impaired. They think too much. That's part of what cannabis is all about. Not like the alcohol people who don't think enough. So there shouldn't really be taxes at all, but here we've got a federal government taking $1 a gram right off the top of everything. And then the provinces take their cut. And then the municipalities, they shovel their costs on as well. Although, what costs do they have? I'm sure they'd say it's for inspections, to make sure that all these stores are complying. But I don't see any of that going on. There might be, but I don't see it. Oh, look at that, 419. You better turn off that line. That's the one. Slide.
Sorry.
Oh, no, maybe you got it. So you got 1 minute to get them rolled and get your pipe filled or whatever else you need to get in place before the 420 moment. But it's coming right up here. And so, there's lots to protest about so-called legalization. We're certainly not done yet. And I've laid out a little bit about why it is that we need to really continue this fight, not settle for what we've got. And 420 is the best time to do that. So wherever you are coming up in a couple of days there, make it your 420 day. And that means you do something. 420 day is a day to protest. It's a day to have your voice heard. It's a day to stand up. So wherever you are, somehow get involved, write a letter, make a phone call, whatever it is you can do. Make a sign and go stand on a street corner. Join together with some friends and smoke some blunts right there and all the rest of that. Whatever you can do, go ahead and do it. Make 420 a day where you make a difference. If it's only one day a year that you have enough energy or time in your life to make a difference, make it that day. So 2 days from now, join the team. Become part of the protest. As I just laid out, there's an awful lot to protest. In any case, I think we're at 420. That means Glenn Wells is here, of course.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing, Glenn?
Happy 420.
Happy 420. Good to see you as usual.
Yes.
You all excited about 420?
I'm getting there. Yeah, it should be a blast. I was just being asked that. You're all excited.
Yeah, I think we're all excited here. All right.
Time to spark something up.
Cannamatch.ca is going to make an appearance there.
We have a booth.
Nice.
Spicoli will be at our booth with top shelf marijuana.
And his love cannon.
Yeah, I love Cannon and all the other products. I'm going to bring some cannabis pills and cream. So, yeah.
So we're about to light this up, but this is the 420 THC show.
Oh,
we're
we're
a
coming
couple
across
of
the
minutes
table.
yet, so we've got some guests in the studio here, and I want to bring them on. So how do we do this?
You want to do that?
You got to come over here, I think.
Oh, okay.
I got a couple of chairs set up, or you can wheel one over there, whatever works for you.
And then I'm going to go over here.
So who's coming on, of course, is Jeff Lundstrom from Skunk Funk in Saskatoon, and Fred Bell from Calgary. What's the name of your shop there, Fred?
Alberta Growers and Beyond 420.
Alberta Growers and Beyond 420. A couple of very hard-working gentlemen that have been involved.
Yeah, we got a chair for you there.
All right.
All right. Now we got to squeeze Fred in here somehow.
Okay,
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Well,
Almost.
you might have to adjust the camera a little
I
bit.
know, but if I do, then it's going to knock you out.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'll shove over a little bit.
I can move over. Yeah.
So I just did. Let's see what happens there. Well, that
Yeah,
didn't-
no.
That didn't do it. That didn't do it. What do we
But
do?
that's right. I'll smoke with you guys and then we'll
I'm
move.
sure there's room for Fred. I'm sure
You
there's
have to maybe move over that way.
Me?
Yeah, I think so. Then I could go this way.
We can try that, sure.
All right, and then we can do that.
Well,
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Because moving the camera does the same thing as that.
Yeah, kind of. There we go. We're almost in there. Yeah.
Half of Fred and half of me. And
Yeah, there we go. Well, that's only because of the comments.
Oh, is that right?
People can see you, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're there. They're just
There we
that's where
are.
the
All right,
comments
well,
are.
light them up, boys.
Yeah. Hey!
How are you guys doing?
It's Stone.
Yeah, you're at the CC, were you?
We were with the Sorry We're Late. We ran into Jody and Carly.
There's Charlotte. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Shatter in there. You might want to light it up. Yep. Nice.
Yeah, and that always means you got to have a little extra visit.
Yeah.
Something.
That's some pink goo from Beard and some Miracle Alien Cookie Shatter.
Nice. I brought some cookies and cream.
Nice.
You can
Cookies
see by
are
the
great.
video that Lum's doing the best job of smoking the place out. So
Yeah. Spicoli will do it on 420.
He was
Yeah.
supposed to show up here with his love cannon last week.
Last week, yeah, but we know Spicoli, right? You
He then
can't.
said he would come this week.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not.
No, that's just. No. He's busy with this new restaurant, right? And
He's a busy man.
Feeding the hungry, right?
He's a busy man. If you want to see Spicoli and you want to find out what the love cannon's all about, come to 420 on
Yeah.
Thursday.
It's not what you're
Thornton
thinking. It's a leaf blower that blows a lot of
That's
weed.
what
Yeah.
you might have been thinking.
Thornton Park is going to be the place to be. 420.
Oh,
That's
man.
it.
2023.
It's been a great park for us for over the years for Cannabis Day and these other protests that we've had. And now we're going to turn it into an epic event with 420.
Yep.
And probably do it again next year as well.
Yeah.
Well,
The organizers.
anything, worth doing is worth doing again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The organizers reached
We're just
out to me and
practicing.
asked me to put it together with Neil, and we got them all together, and we got it all worked out, and now we got to party.
Well, we still got 2 more days to work our asses off.
Do we? How about we get the rest for the next
Oh,
2
man.
days?
No. I got things I have to do quick.
Oh, yeah, you do, yes.
And the
Yeah.
next 2 days I'm busy. Busy. Well, for the next 3 days, eh?
Yeah. And then tomorrow's the 419 party at Amsterdam Cafe, which
It
is
is?
sold out.
Is it?
Yes, it's sold
So you
out.
can't go to that even if you want to?
No.
Actually, well, it's a fairly small venue, right?
The venue space isn't the biggest, that's
No.
correct. We
Yeah.
would have liked to have had something more accommodating,
Shatter
but
that
it
one.
just didn't go that way.
Right?
Yeah,
You would
should-
think for
it
Vancouver,
should be a blast, though.
Yeah, you would think for Vancouver it'd be easier to find a pro-smoke friendly
We should be
place.
upstairs.
But because of legalization, their determination to limit access for even consumption spaces for us to fuck.
Yeah.
They want you to get your weed at their rec government store
Yeah.
that you can't see, you can't try, you can't talk about, and then go home and sit in your fucking basement like you used to and keep your mouth shut about being a stoner.
Yeah.
And then everybody's happy. The government's happy, they get their tax dollars, the compliance people are happy because you're in your house where you should be getting stoned, and don't drive, which we all know is bullshit. There's been fucking studies released continuously about driving while under the influence and how that's bullshit.
Yeah.
For people like me who use medicinally every day, if they tested me, even if I wasn't driving, my levels are going to be through the roof because I smoke from the time I get up to the time I go to fucking sleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes I even wake up in the middle of the night in pain and smoke when I'm through the middle of the night. Like, So when am I sober? I asked the police officer that. I said, when am I sober?
When am I ever never going to be positive in a test?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
I've got
your
40 years of
your
fucking
test
use.
is biased.
Yeah.
Right? So it makes me guilty immediately. And we're supposed to have a due process in Canada. And that's the problem with the Cannabis Act. It's a limited due process.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's legal, but we still have all these rules that can put you in fucking jail for it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know how
Right.
wrong that shit is?
Yeah.
With a crashing of the joint crossings.
Yeah.
Sorry, the Canadian
right,
relay was interrupted.
And
Before I
Fred
leave-
Bell.
Fred Bell.
Fred Bell,
14, give us
Yeah.
a couple minutes.
I think we got to catch up.
I mean, a
We're
couple
already
of
an hour
days.
behind. We're already an hour
Stoners
behind you
typically
guys.
late.
in
Yeah, you
Saskatchewan
guys
and
are catching
Calgary.
up.
Yeah, I'd already be eating supper watching the show.
It's fucking 420 somewhere.
Yeah.
It's,
We got
it's
'em.
already been 420 most places. That's
Yeah.
what happens.
Oh,
We're kind of last
I
ones to ring it
recently
in
was
here.
in Tim Hortons lineup, and I paid for the person behind me.
Yeah.
You know what the total was?
420.
420. I said, for sure I'm buying that one. And the guy knew me. He just smiled. He just
That,
awesome.
That one we're puffing on here, so it has a nice, real earthy kind of tone to
Yeah,
it.
it's real. It's beards.
Oh, okay. So
Beard,
it's
pink brother.
organic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're-
Pink goo.
We're doing a pretty good job of smoking.
You got
the place.
shatter in here?
Red
Is that why
beard
it goes
knows
out
how to
every now
grow.
and again?
Yeah, Miracle Alien Cookie Shatter. Oh,
Yeah,
I thought-
that
yeah.
weed has that nice earthy undertone. I
Pretty
like it.
soon, the strains of weed are gonna have like 7 or 8 names.
The government's allowed 101 strain. The government's allowance 204 strain. Hey, fucking assholes. Yeah. I went to this pot panel discussion at the University of Saskatchewan right before I came out for this. It was interesting to watch some of the people in the legal market continue to cry about how the legacy market affects their bottom dollar.
Right.
Oh, maybe you should grow better fucking weed.
yeah, stronger weed.
Well, or maybe you should lobby to get the government out of it to the point where you can get your prices down.
Yeah.
You know, as well as grow better weed.
You're trying to teach stoners to behave in a different manner, and then you stole what was ours and tried to claim it to be yours. And how's that working out for you?
Yeah.
Right? Like, is
They're complaining.
it going well? Because I don't see it working. I don't see them raking in the riches they were all promised in the beginning.
Every
While
quarter
people
they're-
swindled them for their fucking investment
They're
money.
down in sales every quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, finally we're starting to see cannabis that is worth consuming in the legal market.
I
So that
heard
took
that.
5 years. Yeah, man.
And I believed it had to happen.
Well, of course it did, because eventually people are going to go in there and go, "You're fucking it up. We need to show you how to do it right."
What's the top dollar being charged for a gram of weed in the government store these days? Is it over 20?
I think they have some like slow discount stuff, but you're gonna.
No, I'm not. I mean the top dollar. What's the real good stuff?
Yeah, you're looking at that 18 a gram.
18 a gram.
You're gonna model what Amsterdam does for prices, and it's the same thing out there. You're gonna pay 18 euro a gram for
18
something
a gram.
crazy, but that's gonna be the most fire shit you ever smoked.
yeah.
Right? So like, I mean, no, not supposedly. I've been there and smoked it.
It's $7,000.
You can
a
smoke.
pound.
Hold on. In Amsterdam, you can smoke the $10 shit, and it's garbage. It doesn't
Right.
burn. It burns black. It doesn't stay lit.
Right.
It's not flushed properly. It's fucking terrible.
Right.
You spend $12 and over, you know your shit's clean. It's super nice. You spend 15 to 20 euro, and it's the best you ever had. And that's a fact.
I just meant here.
Oh, I don't know about
Yeah,
here.
no, yeah,
Fuck,
yeah.
it's
I
not.
mean-
It's not like that here, but it's starting to get like that here.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
No, I'm
always
not
up
over
here.
for $18 a gram for anything ever. I mean, I don't
No,
care.
$2 a gram
Yeah,
for the killer.
I don't. Well, that's still a lot of money. You know, you guys are farmers in Saskatchewan. You know what it takes to bring a ton of food to the marketplace. It's not that much.
Well, it's
really.
40 cents to produce a gram agriculturally. So that's what we worked it out to. 40
Right.
cents per gram. So we could easily take that to market at $1.50.
$2 a gram.
$2
People are making good
and
money.
everybody be okay.
Yeah, everybody's making
Even
good
the
money at $2 a
packaging
gram.
guys, if they stop using regulated plastics of fucking that some company has to make and label and print, like eliminate all that shit. We'll go back to a Ziploc fucking bag. Like let's
We haven't
maybe
talked
cost-
enough about the packaging, man.
Let's. I know.
Packaging is ridiculous.
Shit, man.
You know
and
that-
I see, dude. I was smoking at the lounge the other day, and there's like those stickers, those stamp the Canadian with the Canadian flag, and then I see one. I'm just like, fuck, man. Like,
I hate those things. We co-opted it. Eh? Where is it?
It's on your.
Well, stop
Yeah.
fentanyl. Right. We got the stop sign, just like they put on their packages.
Oh yeah.
But we're stopping fentanyl with THC. We don't tell you
Yeah.
to look out for THC. Stop! It's got THC in it. What do you mean stop? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I love it. We're going to give you a warning, and that's what I hate about consumption-based products. We're going to give you a warning to tell you what we think you should know about it. How about you don't fucking worry about what I consume as a medicine, and I'll be over here feeling better.
Yeah.
Like, what are you scared about? That I might have a clue?
Yeah.
That I might think consciously that you're trying to fuck me every day? That I'm not addicted to your pharmaceuticals, so you don't have me caught up in your program no more? Like, because I got out? Like, that's what they're really scared of.
Yeah.
Right? It isn't the
yeah.
plant. It was never the plant that they were afraid of. They were afraid of the power that it gave the people.
Yeah.
And they think they've taken that power away, and I truly don't believe that.
No.
And we're going to
Nope.
prove that at our 420 rally
They're still working on it,
in 2 days.
but so are we, and we'll never go away. I mean, and by we, I mean all of us in the world that understand the plant and understand our rights to some degree. We're not going to stand for this, and we never will. So.
Well, we're Skunk Funk's officially back open in Saskatoon after being gone for 10 months, and we are fully committed to supplying medicinal-based cannabis to patients at affordable prices with no bullshit, where you can come in, you can look, you can smell, you can taste if you want.
So you're not in the same location?
No, we're
what's
a
the
brand
new
new.
location?
The new location now is 502 Avenue M South in Saskatoon. So it's
Are you available online for
We're
something?
working towards online sales. You'll be able to catch us at skunkfunk.ca coming up. So yeah, we're working on online availability across Canada,
Nice.
and yeah, we're just running it like old school medicinal based, like the way dispensaries used to be. You know, you can come in, you get high dose edibles from me. You can come in, you can get cannabis that you can see and you can smell and you can try.
Yeah.
You can get shatter, you can get live resins, you can get suppositories, you can get edibles. Right? Like,
Well, you can get suppositories at the government stores too, you know.
really? They got that now? I didn't know that.
I thought that was kind of intriguing because they're non-medical.
About taking it up.
They're non-medical, so but they got suppositories. So I guess that's the latest thing for the office to get together, have a little party, and insert suppositories into each other.
They're non-medical.
The latest recreational tool out there.
Like, it's better than hamsters or gerbils.
Is it? How do you know that? Right?
I don't know.
How do you know that?
Well, because it's smaller. That's all I'm going with.
I gotta say, I'm a bit jealous because I always have to put the suppositories up myself. So.
Well, no,
If I had to volunteer, I might consider it a little
apparently
bit
it's
different.
recreational now. And that could be fun.
They've been the best for.
Then know where the boss shows something over your ass.
Suppositories are some of the best if you deal with any kinds of colitis or Crohn's disease, anything that has to do with bowel motion. For me, it's relieving back pain.
Yeah.
So as everybody knows, I fell from a scaffold 21 feet. I broke my back in 2 places, my C3 and my C5.
Yeah.
Been in chronic pain since the year 2000. Strung out opiates for 5 years. Cannabis saved my life, or I wouldn't even be talking to you. Right, and here's a medicine that could easily continue to benefit many patients. Access is the biggest problem for me. Like we were just talking about this in the car on the way down. We've been arguing reasonable access since the indoctrination of the program 2000. So since they started the medicinal program, we've worked towards trying to get understanding and acceptance. How many more times, and how many times we've got to win in court, and how many more times we've got to prove that they're wrong and we're right. And the government never wants to admit that they've made a mistake, that they were wrong. In the Smith case, the Allard case, all of them, they had to swallow that pill hard, man. And that's why they refused to lift the injunction and take any of us ever back to court again, because they know they're just going to lose. And that's why they wrote the Cannabis Act the way that they did, so that you couldn't argue it. They just tried to change the act to be amended that you can't use your charter rights to even argue that it's unconstitutional, which is extremely illegal in cannabis. So there's no fucking way that our government can enact policy changes to a corrupt act they wrote for cannabis, claiming legalization when it was monopolization, just to jack the very people who built their fucking bullshit.
I grew up having a bit of an understanding about protection rackets and monopolies and those sorts of things, only to watch as our government is involved in exactly that, blatantly.
Biggest extortionists on the planet.
And yet we
And
seem to
nobody
have
goes
no
to jail for it.
recourse.
Yeah.
We have no recourse. Nobody goes to jail. What the hell? I got to talk to the federal health minister.
That was amazing.
Oh,
I saw the
You
footage.
saw it? We were going to play it on the show.
Yeah, no, that looks-
You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's see what the federal government has to say about access. That was the last thing that he said in his response to me, was access is key. And he's right about that. And it's certainly not what we've got right now. But I was very blessed to be able to find out that there was a press conference going on at the Vancouver General Hospital with the federal health minister, Jean-Yves Duclos. There he is there.
Okay.
And you're ready to go on that?
Well, yeah, I can.
Back it up a little bit.
Yeah, right.
And so, just pause it.
Okay.
Okay, it's just loading into pause and what happened.
Yeah, we're paused.
So, I scurried on down there, put my good clothes on, and I got to stand in a bit of a press scrum and watch as the two of them talked about a partnership that they had just put together where the federal government is going to supply funds so that the provincial government can put in supports so that people can age out at home or close to home, and also money for mental health and addiction. So then after half an hour or so of them describing this new program that they'd entered into, or partnership, they opened it up for questions. And I won't talk about how it looked like maybe they didn't want to get me on or whatever. At the very end, they did come to me, who had been standing at the microphone for probably 15 minutes or more waiting my turn. And I asked him a little bit about access. So I guess we can play that. Glenn,
I just want to make sure what we're looking at. So just let me go here.
Do we turn this to the camera?
Yeah, we're going to, yeah.
Okay, I'll let you do that. You're the
All
guy.
right.
So this is our federal health minister, Jean-Yves Duclos, with Adrian Dix.
I don't think we can hear it.
In reference to the overdose crisis, the public health emergency that's been raging for the last 7 years, the Cannabis Substitution Program has been demonstrating very successfully that high-dose edibles are very effective in assisting people through withdrawal. They've rescued hundreds of people from addiction. There's a problem with the federal government in not licensing the program and allowing low-barrier access. What action will you take in the future to facilitate low-barrier access to high-dose cannabis edibles, as it has proven to be very, very effective in helping people get off of those drugs?
Good, and I wish my colleague Minister Bennett were here to provide a better answer to that important question. She would probably say that it's a program that, as you said, needs to support the safety and the health of people. So these are somewhat related, obviously, but also different. So we need to make sure that the products and the procedures that lead to their use are safe and protect the lives and the health of Canadians. It is true that Health Canada, in particular the regulatory branch of Health Canada that deals with drugs and substances, do their work in the most serious but also the most agile manner, being efficient, not only being resistant to change. At the same time, as you also point, there are often and there are health benefits to changing those regulations. We've seen progress over the last few years, regarding cannabis in particular, but other substance uses, including here in British Columbia, as you've seen, with the leadership of the province, the city, the police force, the community services, the health experts. So we are making progress, but there is always more progress to make. And again, I would invite, if that's possible and useful, I would invite my team to be able to connect with Minister Bennett. She could provide better and greater details to your question.
It's been 6 years that the program has been operating. They were deemed an essential service during the pandemic. The application to the Special Licensing Exemption Division of Health Canada has been in for over 2.5 years while they stall and delay. And the reason that they say that they will not license the program at this point is because all of the supply is not legal, although we've provided several avenues for that to be the case, and we would like that to be the case as well. And their other one is that they don't want full-grown Canadian adults to get access to high-dose edibles without a doctor on board. And in the downtown east side where we've been operating, 95% of the clients that rely on us, that have gotten off the drugs because of us, do not have a family doctor, could not get one if they wanted one. In many cases are afraid of the healthcare system and couldn't. And we're being asked after 6 years of providing this service to turn our backs on these people. This is really a travesty going on, and I think some tensions perhaps from your office and Mr. Dix as well. I've sent emails out regularly to the health minister, to many different people. I would love to connect with your team of people and make this happen, because it is very, very important.
And that's correct. So there is the theoretical availability of drugs, but there is then the practical access to the services that enable people to use those drugs and the treatment that go with them. So it's and you point to access to family medicine. In British Columbia, we're making significant efforts in many different ways to improve access to family health teams, in teams being key, not necessarily family doctors, but other members of a family health team that can be useful when it comes to caring for people. Access is key in all sorts, in all aspects of healthcare, including the one that you mentioned.
Sorry, that's all the time we had at the group.
Access is key.
All right.
Access is key.
Same shit we were fucking saying.
And then Health Canada is a very agile and efficient organization.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, I called them on that. It's been 2.5 years that they've been working hard.
The very people who don't see and openly admit that they don't see cannabis as a medicine. Since
Right.
the word of the
Yeah, that's right.
since the start of the program,
They get to take charge of
in the
that.
very first page of the information they send you when you get your license, we do not see this or recognize this plant as a medicinal plant of
Right.
any kind.
No, the rec market wouldn't be here at all without the medical market being provided for. And then all of a sudden they jump this way and that, and patients are left out all over the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
Man, that reasonable
insane.
access got worse.
Yeah.
It got
It did,
worse.
honestly.
It's crazy.
I swear.
So now the new mantra, of course, is low barrier access. That sort of says it all. We say actually discreet low barrier access, but you shouldn't need to say discreet, because if it's not discreet, it's also not low barrier. It's also one of the barriers is not being discreet.
I should be able to sell you the flower I grew in my backyard or my greenhouse or my fucking grow room the same way that a farmer sells his chickens.
Yep.
Or sells his
Even if
agricultural
that
food.
flower,
Or,
you should be able to sell me that, even if that flower is dangerous. You know, even if that flower has like thorns on its stalk or something like that, you should still be able to sell me that
that's
shit.
right.
You know,
You sell a rose.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A couple of full-grown adults here. You know, any of those plants could be used probably, to suffocate somebody if you wanted to. But that doesn't mean you can't sell them. That doesn't mean that's going to happen. They're just, it's outrageous. The whole thing, it's ludicrous. It's upside down. I was brought up by a father who wanted to be a cop in a Christian, God-fearing, obedient, like law-abiding family, and I was told that you had to have intent for it to be a crime, for example. Mm-hmm. Well, how does that fly with going to court? You had a bag of flowers on you. Yeah. Your intent was to feel better. That's what they were told you was going to happen. Yeah. Don't they have to prove that your intent was to hurt somebody with that bag of flowers somehow? And whatever happened to that? Yeah. The whole thing is completely upside down.
It is. Here in Vancouver, you can have 2.5 grams of hard drugs on you and not get in trouble. But if you want to give somebody more than 10 milligrams as an edible, they got to have a doctor's note. That's
what
how
I'm going to talk about at 420 is the criminal hypocrisy that we're living under here, that we've been living all my life. It's been hypocrisy to a criminal degree. Yeah, that's why I'm going to sue Health Canada or Health Canada, the federal government, whatever. Somewhere when some of this settles down and we find out what it's going to be.
I'm amazed that at a provincial level, like MPs and MLAs aren't interested or have no power to
make it worse.
Because it's ludicrous. Because these public officials are paid by tax dollars to protect your best interests.
I know.
Right. So if your best interest is consuming cannabis to make you feel better, as opposed to handfuls of opiates or any other option, right, that isn't natural or based natural, then we need to reconsider the whole thing.
Exactly. 100%. We need to reconsider all of it. I understand that the world's on fire. Paris is burning. There's uprisings all over the place, and what they're unhappy about is the state of democracy. Well, that's awesome to hear, because that's what we've been talking about on this show since
Paris
the beginning.
raised their retirement age from 63 to 65.
I thought it was 62 to 64, but what do I know?
Something like that. It was a
Something
couple
like
of
that.
years
But all those
up from
people
what
who
it
are
was
about to
anyways.
retire are pissed off because now they got to work 2 years more.
Well, they shouldn't have to. What they should do
They
now
should.
is say that it's going to be grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Or just say,
easy
you
peasy.
shouldn't, and they know you shouldn't be a modern day slave.
Yeah.
You shouldn't live to work.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be your existence.
Yeah.
You should work to live.
Yeah.
Like you only got the one life. You spend how much of it sleeping? and the rest of it working.
Tell me about it. How
When do you
fast
ever
it
have
goes.
any time to watch your kids grow up, or watch anybody enjoy anything, or watch your grandkids grow up? Like, you know, and then at the rate of heart attacks, strokes, cancer, all the things that they cause by polluting our food with sugars and GMOs and spraying it down with chemicals. And then you want to sit there and justify how selling me your shitty weed is good. How can I take that shit for much more? Well, remove somewhere that isn't like that.
Well, we all know what happened to me. I mean, I was just an ordinary person in the mainstream, and I went a little crazy because this whole prohibition of weed thing just made no sense. It was hurting so many people. When it really hit home, when I was helping with the herb school over there, I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I can't go to work. I can't go work somewhere and fix somebody's house, for their comfort when the world is burning. Like right now, I got to go get some water and throw it on this thing somehow.
Some people, yeah.
So yeah, and here we are. It was interesting to hear Dana Larson. We were at the protest for Ted Smith there with the. There's another thing that you were talking about with these provincial authorities. Well, the provincial authorities in British Columbia decided to put together this squad of Nazis called the CSU, a Community Safety Unit of all stupid oxymoronic names to call themselves.
Is it community or cannabis?
It's the Community Safety Commission.
Union? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah,
So-
it's based, but it is a branch of the Cannabis Act, so
And
it's
so
directly related to what.
But they've got their own powers. They've got
they
their
sure
own
do.
unique powers. They fine people. The review on whether the fine is fair is all done internally.
Right.
You've got very little recourse, and they're just running around closing down access for medical patients to cannabis there. The fines that they can levy are just ludicrous. They take whatever they think the value of what you have is, and then they, triple it or double it or something, and then double it again. I don't know, but it works out to just ridiculous amounts.
Well, they gave Ted's up to $6.5 million.
$6.5 million. That was the first one.
Like that's insane.
He's going to have another one.
Like
they took a whole whack of shit
Yeah.
off of him again. They're going to give him another big bill like that.
Yeah. But
Where
I
have
mean,
you ever heard of that?
how does anybody even pay that? Well, it's the highest. It's
What
extortion.
are the most heinous crimes you've ever heard of in Canada here? And what kind of fines did those people get?
Right.
Clifford Olson. What the hell fine did they give him?
Robert Picton.
Probably just put him in jail where we paid for their dinners for a while.
Yeah.
Nothing, no skin off their fucking noses. What the hell? $6.5 million. It's
ludicrous.
boy.
It's somewhat extortionist, and if you can't look at it like that, but I mean, they don't follow their own rules. So they make all the rules. They don't follow any of them. They expect us to jump through all their bullshit hoops, which is why I'm still proudly a black market or gray market or questionable
Green market.
whatever. I sell weed to people who need it, so the government doesn't stick their fucking nose where it doesn't belong.
I call it the legacy market because it's been there always.
How about I don't comply market?
Yeah.
What happened to public disobedience? Where I could-
Non-government market.
That's right. I don't
Well,
follow
that's
the
what
rules
we're doing
market.
here.
So
We're showing them what
OG
the rules should be, and that's what we're going to do on Thursday as well. Is once again show them, this is what a regulated marketplace should probably look like.
For sure.
Yeah.
Pretty much a free for all.
That's right.
Unless there's
open tables, open sales,
And
you
until
can see your
somebody's
bud, you
harmed-
can taste your bud, you can
Talk
enjoy
to
your
people
bud.
who might be
Yeah,
who
you're
may have
talking
grown
to
it.
yeah,
They might have
brew it.
grown it. Yeah.
you let the marketplace decide. You go to this booth and see what they got. Go to the next booth and see what they got. If you're a discerning customer, if you're a medical user and you need stuff you'll be able to find that there.
Mary
good
might
price.
have better honey than Billy.
Yeah.
Tommy might have better carrots
And
than Allie.
And the
But
last
as long
I
as none of
want
the
to
honey,
shop around.
but not as long as none of the honey or none of the carrots are posing a threat, like they don't have any salmonella on them or something like that.
Growing
It's
and
no
green.
business of the governments to be there at all.
That's right.
And if they're going to be there, then they're going to charge us for being there. For what?
At St. Patty's Day, where there was people selling ounces for $100. Like a medical person could use an ounce for $100.
If it's good weed.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. So
We've got good cannabis here at $60 an ounce, and it's
Yeah.
actually cheaper than that if you combine a few things, because you can buy the first 5 grams for $1 a gram of
Okay.
the one strain.
Nice.
And we always have that going on.
That's out at the Weedapago?
Yeah.
The Weedapago.
Yeah.
Where we were asking, that's
If you got no money, you get a joint
it's
and an
the
edible for
third
free.
Weedapago, right?
That's our third one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one, they
So
just
with the fourth one is going to have to be like
421.
You're gonna need a stamp card for RVs. Buy 10, you get one free.
Hopefully
Wouldn't
not.
that be nice?
Hopefully not.
Wouldn't that be
The
nice?
last one was it's firebombed, right?
Wouldn't that be nice? No, but we wouldn't have to get a whole bunch because they were firebombed. We have to get a whole bunch because now we're licensed and able to do
Yeah,
what we're doing.
what we're doing,
And we're going to
yeah.
have a whole bunch of outreach vehicles that can go where the problem is and provide real easy access, because that
Yeah.
is the key.
Yeah.
The
Right.
key is easy access, you know. So that's what we tried to do
Easy
with
and
the CSP.
reasonable, right?
With the
Reasonable
CSP
comes with like price.
When I pitched it to Van Du, my theme was make it as easy as possible to get it to these people. So no cost, no nothing except, well, they're going to have to come and get it because we're not going to deliver it, but we should. And eventually, if we had licenses, we would.
Right.
But with Van Du, it was let's make it as easy as possible to get it to people. So we're going to pick our days, and we're going to go there that day, and we're going to allow hundreds of people to come and get a care pack of 4 to 6 edibles,
Yeah.
and that was as easy to. But the real way to do it is what I mentioned, like have outreach vehicles that can go to where the people are.
People are.
and
They're really
either
tough.
have prices that
Street,
really
even
make
the street
sense.
outreach teams
Exactly.
that are out on the block, walking around, come back, load up, go back out.
With
making
proper
sure those
pamphlets,
people need it.
getting the right information,
Right.
and meeting the people face to face, 1-to-1, because that's what's going to help
Start
this
hearing
issue. here.
testimony,
It's-
getting a better understanding of how you can help.
You know, they talk about these people
They
here that are
talk-
putting up the tents, and the tents
always
say,
talk
well,
about
these
helping.
people are all individuals that are here through their own path.
Their own
and
struggles.
you need to help them. Somebody needs to sit down with them and talk to them and find out, you know, how'd you get here?
Right.
Where do you want to
Let them
be?
say their
Right.
story.
How
Where
can
would
we
you-
help
How can
you?
we help?
Helps
You
get
know?
rid of the hurt.
Yeah.
So
How can I help?
Don't want to turn into a place where nobody cares.
Having somebody to talk to is definitely key
It
into
is.
like a better mental mindset
Yeah.
as well.
we
Access,
provide that.
access.
You know, my staff are all very good about. We get to know people's names, and they want to tell you. You know, they want to find somebody who will listen. So they come to the window and they'll tell us what's going on. Lots of times it's horrific. You know, and sometimes it's all made up. It's in their head, but at least there's somebody there. There's an ear for them to talk to.
An outlet.
So now we've got the federal government, after all this time, telling us that they're going to deny our application because all of our supply doesn't come from regulated sources. That's important, apparently. And
Of
that,
course.
and that full-grown adults
Then they get their payment.
aren't capable of dealing with dosages of edibles beyond 10 milligrams at a time. And the federal government, to protect those people, are not going to allow them to have access unless they have a doctor who's going to help guide them through the whole process of how many milligrams you need there.
Right.
So in our case, that's over 95% of the clientele that would not be able to get a doctor to support what they're doing because they can't get a doctor.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't get one if they could in many cases. These people are afraid of the healthcare system.
They are,
So
they are.
all those people get zero access. And the federal government, in denying our application, are essentially saying, you have to stop doing what you're doing now. Really? Like, I'm supposed to have, me and my staff, this team of wonderful people that, you know, they risk their mental health by coming down here and working every day, I'll tell you. This is a horrible place to be. You see things that you really can't come to grips with. And,
Right,
and you
right.
want to help everybody and you can't. And, you know, it's really hard
You're
to
in
be
the
down here.
harder where the problems are.
And this team of angels that comes here every day, that never miss a day, that help these people, they're now supposed to like screen all the people coming to the RV and say, nope, not you, nope, not you, nope, not you. Okay, you're special enough. You've got a piece of paper. Come on over here. Maybe we can help you. For fuck's sakes, these are our family members after all this time. You know what I mean?
Crazy part about the legal LP, especially in BC, it's not like this in Saskatchewan, and I hate this about each province being able to control their regulatory system.
Right.
In BC specifically, the government, so the Liquor Control Act, or the people that control alcohol here, also control the bud. They buy from LPs. They don't have to pay those LPs for like up to 60 days.
Right.
They can just return their product back to them if it doesn't sell. Then
Right.
they middle it to the store. You have to wait for product like crazy. It's
Right.
it's insane.
I see.
In Saskatchewan, you can deal direct. So if
Right.
I have a licensed production facility, I can go directly to the store owner and say, "Hey, buy from us. Here's our product." That's a way more sensible, but also just in the general way that we run things. And this is a prime example, food based. So a farmer that grows potatoes, he doesn't cook fries at McDonald's,
Right.
right? He doesn't. The only thing he does is grow the goddamn
Grows
potatoes.
potatoes.
Yeah.
That's it. Then there's a trucking company that picks it up, They make money to take it to the factory that processes, that makes money, that takes it to the food store that sells it, that makes money, that sells it to you, that you take home to eat and consume.
Or to your restaurant when you make them.
Right, and
Right.
everybody
Right.
gets
They make
paid
money.
along the way or gets fed along the way in a fairly accurate system.
Yep.
But in cannabis, it goes right from the LP producer to the source. Nowhere along the way does any other agriculture like it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who grows wheat doesn't make cornflakes. Right? The guy who grows barley
Or whiskey.
doesn't make fucking Molson.
Yeah.
He just doesn't, right? Like, so why do we run cannabis like that and nothing else in our society we run the other way?
And so many other business aspects of how cannabis is handled that don't mesh with other businesses and how they're treated. There's such oppression, really, of the whole cannabis industry that way. And some of them are fighting for that. I mean, you hear that there's motions by these
Well,
retailers.
there's been
that talk
changes.
about
There's
it,
been changes. There's also been the cannabis review.
Yeah,
A big scary part of that was their clear ability to want to push the rest of the medical patients left onto the recreational market,
Yeah.
claiming that they think that it can handle.
Really loaded questions
I
in
can
that.
tell you right now, if my cannabis needs had to rely on the fucking recreational market, I not only would not be able to afford what I need ailments,
But you couldn't get it.
I wouldn't be able to
Yeah, you can't
access
get
it. I wouldn't be able to afford it. Like the price is insane.
Yeah.
I smoke
Well, that's
30,
what's going on
30,
right now.
30 grams a day. You times that 30 grams a day. You times that by 30 days. Like what the fuck is that? Right? So I couldn't imagine what that would cost in a recreational if I couldn't produce that at home under a medicinal program.
And like
So
I
if
say,
they
this
take
whole
that,
thing
you
is-
know we're going back to court.
The whole thing is just so upside down. Like, these are
backwards.
public servants. These are people that come together and charge us money so that they can help us with our affairs. That's what it's supposed to be about. It's not their job to impede commerce, it's their job to facilitate commerce. And with something like this plant, that's now, whether they believe it or not, there's millions of Canadians that think it helps them sleep at night, thinks it helps them put them in a better mood, thinks it makes them enjoy their sunsets better.
Yeah.
They enjoy their lives better because of it. So you would think a group of public servants would be out there making sure that we can all get that stuff.
Why is it always?
You know?
Happy.
Why is it always an argument?
Exactly.
Like since the time I started smoking, when I was 17, I'm 45 now. They call me a criminal,
Yeah.
right?
Your whole life.
If you got caught with it, you could go to jail. If you were smoking it, people looked down upon you.
Yeah.
My mom barely talked to me through my teenage years because she thought I was
Yeah.
just a lazy
You're
pothead.
Yeah.
Right. She actually told me once that cannabis never did anything good for me.
Right.
Right, till I opened a store that I ran for 15 years that paid taxes and made profit.
And if she'd only known that the
Could-
cannabis was helping you get through tough times in your life, not making
not
tough
only
times tough for you.
survive once I fell and injured myself.
For sure.
But
But even
then
before that, as a
created a
regular
career and a
teenager,
lifetime.
cannabis is very valuable for teenagers to navigate being a teenager. It ain't fucking easy.
Right.
And cannabis helps with all that
That's
stuff.
because when you're a teenager, right around the corner comes real life.
Yeah.
And that's why we
Well,
all
your
as
dad's
adults,
adult.
that's why we as adults consume it. So those kids are smart. They're already getting ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you have your first panic attack at 30, you won't be able to handle it.
Or one of Jay Green's cousins that I met, that for most of his life, for 30 some years, he had insomnia, really bad insomnia. And then one of his
Smoked a little
relatives
bit of
said, try some of this. And he didn't want to, but he did. And then it was like, what the fuck? This is illegal. It helps me sleep.
Sleep,
He was, he was pissed right off, and for good reason. I don't think we
30
should all be
years of
pissed
not being
right off at
sleeping,
this whole
yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
It's just as crazy as can be. Why did I have to spend the last 25 years of my life doing this? I could have been building fancy places. That's the track I was on before I realized just how bad this situation was. And with a young son turning 16, now going to smoke weed, I felt I had to do something, And then there it was, a poster for 420 coming up at the art gallery back in 1999. Dan was 16 years old, and we had just like the week before had this moment in time where he asked if he could smoke a joint with his dad for the first time. And for me, I was thinking, this should be a good bonding moment. Why do I feel like, holy shit, now my son's going to have to worry his whole life like I did again? And so then, like I
Because
said,
it
within a
was
week.
super illegal back then.
Yeah, and
Like,
there's a
wasn't even
poster.
there wasn't even a medical program yet.
Nothing in 1999, and then so there's a poster within a few days on a telephone pole as we're walking down the street talking about protesting the pot laws on April 20th at the art gallery. So we went to that, and here I am all these years later,
Yeah.
still pounding that beat, because I learned over the course of that just how horrible this whole thing was. I had to quit my fucking job to try to do something about it. It was tough times for quite a while doing that. And so, yeah, I'm going to sue the government at some point.
Well, reasonable, like I said, reasonable access. Again, we're talking access. Look at what just happened in Quebec. So the Supreme Court just ruled
what that is.
That's insane. You can't grow your weed at home.
That is a direct attack on disabled Canadians.
For sure.
Is what that is.
Yeah.
Or
anybody who has the right to
it's not only
produce
that
their
they're
own.
not providing reasonable access, they're actively denying access. That's what's happening. So when people, we found out with what we're doing that there's the visible addicts. You can all see them. They're obviously addicted. They're starting there. What the hell?
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of other people that are doing that in their rooms, all by themselves, in all the different demographics of life here in Canada, that got onto
in a
opioids.
nursing home.
They got onto opioids because of doctors prescribing them way too much back in the days of OxyContin and what have you, where they got everybody on this shit. Then there's the whole, that stuff is addictive after all, and we got to get people off that shit. You doctors have to take your patients off that stuff as quick as you can. Well, a lot of those patients couldn't get off. They couldn't make it through withdrawal, but they can't tell anybody, so they're going and getting it from their family's medicine cabinets, or stealing it from places, or they end up down places like this buying it,
pharmacies, yeah.
And it's going on all over the place. They're by restricting access. It's not just denying reasonable access. It's actually actively restricting access. They're forcing people not to be able to use this stuff. They're forcing them into their addictions. They're forcing them into the hard drugs. They're directly attacking disabled people who need to discreetly perhaps grow a few plants in their homes to get some extracts, to make some edibles, to get through the withdrawal. That's what they're doing. They're murdering people.
It's funny that they're talking about access, especially in BC, to family doctors. Because I heard that the wait in BC is 3 years to even be considered to see a family doctor.
Millions of Canadians can't get a family doctor.
For sure, never mind just in this province alone.
That's right.
So, I mean, how does that help somebody who's in a crisis situation? Right? They're talking about access should be number one. Yeah. Well, if you can't even access a doctor, how the hell are you supposed to access not even the programs, but the medicine that then is good enough for you to survive?
The medicine. I mean, you can go to a clinic.
It's crazy.
You can find a way to probably get some diagnosis, and then you get a script for it, and you can go to a pharmacy that afternoon, and you've got toxic, poisonous pills in your hand that are going to help you with whatever's wrong with you, killing cancer cells
or whatever
it
they
is.
say is wrong with you, right?
So you can get that easy enough.
So how many misdiagnoses?
But how quickly can you get some cannabis high-dose edibles if you've got an opportunity? A window has arisen, and you think you can get off these hard drugs that you've been stuck on for a while, and you just need some access to high-dose edibles. You go to your doctor, and you convince him, and the doctor says okay, and then you submit to Health Canada, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and then
you wait some more.
And the window's long gone by the time they ever do say anything about it. And then when they do, they come back and say, you don't need that much.
You're already back to using. It's a vicious cycle.
Well, it's criminal. It's criminal corruption,
extortion,
all
and
those
especially
things.
people like Ted Smith.
Well, and it moves on up step by step, right? They start you out with this because you're this young and that's what works for you there. But then as you get more into this, it no longer works for you. So next step up, and then next step up, and it's like just a vicious a staircase going on the bad road.
This is a pharmaceutical-led agenda that we're living under.
Well, there's large money in that pharma.
Large money.
Right, and now there's large money in what they thought was the Cannabis Act. They thought they
and if they could get away with
they were
it, they
going
would
to
be.
lie in their pockets, and everybody was going to be rich, and they were going to laugh all the way to the bank, and they thought they could throw people like us under the bus for it. And now they realize that we're the ones
that why we have to keep fighting.
We're pulling the sled still.
And if we don't, then the world's in trouble. Because this is not the answer. This is medical patients being thrown into this. This is all those harms of prohibition being foisted upon the most vulnerable amongst us instead of everybody.
They wrote laws that you can't argue in court, and tried to put sanctions where they don't belong, so that you can't even argue charter freedoms. So that's it. That is a just misconduct of our law system I have ever seen. It's extortion. Somebody should be charged. People should be convicted.
100%.
They should lose their jobs. Laws should change. But I mean, in my lifetime, I pray that we will see this, Neil. And I commend you on continuing to fight this fight. I got your back for it.
Thank you. I know a lot of people do. And we will continue on until we get what's right. They can't succeed if they could succeed.
They
You know,
already
what a
would've been doing
brilliant
that.
scheme, you know. They've got the general public putting in all the money that funds the protection racket that is so violent and huge, like such a huge hammer to use against anybody that would violate the cartel's grass, you know,
Right.
that nobody grows anymore, nobody provides for anybody, it's all too risky. Anybody finds out, you know, you're in trouble because they're going to be in trouble if they don't tell on you, because that's the way that it's all structured like that. And it's so damn fucking tight that nobody would dare. Then holy shit, they can get everybody buying their shit for thousands of dollars a pound when they produced it for a few dollars per pound, and all the millionaires get to be billionaires, and you know, and that's the world that they're looking for. That's what we have to not allow to happen. We can't let this happen.
You would think if they really felt the way they did about things, you would see the raids happen. They're selective, it seems like. So with Ted, with you guys,
They are, but they
with
raided
Dana,
a place
like,
just on Broadway, an indigenous dispensary just last week.
I heard that too.
The CSU is active. They go from place to place to place. There's a lot still to shut down. But with fines like $6.5 million, that's got to scare a lot of people who have assets
For
from
sure.
getting involved, for sure.
But I'm surprised that they don't show up to these bigger events. You know, I think they're probably
Well, they're there
scared
undercover,
for
I'm
numbers.
sure.
Yeah, probably.
You know,
but
they
they're not
scope it
there.
out.
They're not there enforcing their rule of thumb.
They can't here.
Yeah,
We're
thankfully.
too big.
Too big.
Yeah, we
Thankfully.
got too big, too fast for them, and I tongue food the hell out of them, and
Tongue food.
and you know, the
we went
army
through-
of people behind me willing to take video, willing to do all
Right.
of that shit. We forced the issue here so that we got too big. If they could, they would. I'll tell you.
When's your next court case? So when's
Well, ours
when's
isn't
over?
until October
October
now.
now.
We
It's
had
been
our
back till
16
fall.
appearances to get the
Yeah.
actual date of a preliminary
Very
hearing.
hearing. Yeah.
So we'll do 3 days of preliminary hearing. I don't know how I feel about it. You know, they're completely in the wrong. It's a complete waste of taxpayers, this whole process.
Absolutely.
So much court money,
But I think
the
we can change
prosecutors'
this.
money.
Project Blaze.
Yeah,
Project Blaze.
And it's so hard to drum up the same interest from the 420 community lately as well, because some people on our side of the fence way back, they're now on the other side of the fence, and they're like,
Playing
why,
for
trying
the
to
other team.
justify it.
why are you even fighting
Playing
anymore?
for the
And
other
it's
team.
because reasonable access for patients has still not been addressed.
Yeah.
You know, low barrier access, pure and simple. Like, why do I still pay GST on the? That's the only.
Why are you
tax
paying
on?
thousands of dollars for a plant, for a pound of a plant, where if the marketplace could just decide it for itself and farmers could just bring it to market any way they want, there would be good cannabis out there at
Oh,
similar prices to
There is
fruits and
good
vegetables.
cannabis out there like that. We just keep it quiet. Or
Sure.
I'm smoking some of it now.
I want to smoke some of it
I didn't
now.
get it from the
I
government
brought a whole
store.
fucking bag of
There
it.
you go.
Yeah.
There's some old school growing my fucking Jeep.
There you go.
So I
There
mean,
you go.
I've been beating this drum for a long time, and I've got real good grower friends of mine who explain to me the costs of what's going on with them, and that there is a lot of costs that are involved in producing high quality cannabis indoors like that. They deserve a good buck for producing that, because it's not easy to be a master of growing. For sure, it might be easy to grow, but it's not easy to be a master of growing. For
Agreed.
sure.
You know, anybody
So the
can grow
masters, you know, they've got a product that's in demand. People want it. They're willing to pay high prices for it. That's all great.
Absolutely.
But if without government interference, there'd be a whole lot of other cannabis that was in the marketplace that would be just fine for people. It would be very nice and still be priced way, way below that, because you can grow well outdoors. You can grow well in hybrid greenhouses.
Yep.
You can grow similarly to how you grow many of the other things that farmers grow.
Absolutely.
And it could be brought to market at similar prices.
Well, and for patients' sakes, why is it more expensive for me to buy my medical CBD weed off of my legal channel? Why is it so expensive to buy it from them, but yet you could go buy it for $70 on the recreational side?
Right.
What changed in the balance? It used
And
to
why
be
is it so
patients got a
expensive
discount.
anyway?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, yeah.
you
Right.
guys have all
Right.
seen the big,
Right.
the big hemp fields out there.
Yeah.
You know, the colas that look just like fucking weed colas, and they got crystals on them and everything, but apparently the crystals are mostly CBD, they're not THC. Ah, damn. Oh, wait, CBD is valuable. Holy shit. Why is it so fucking expensive? You know? We know farmers that take the CBD off those buds that get a whole shit ton of CBD without much effort. So why is it so expensive
I
to
can
get to the
buy a
general
box
public?
of peaches for pretty cheap. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Nice strawberries.
Right? So I agree. Same as any agricultural. So we should have farmers markets, like open markets that are going to happen at 420. They should have, like you said, availability. You should be able to shop around,
Yep.
get the cheapest, get the best. You know, try it out. You know, fucking
You know the big problem.
bring it back if you don't like it.
You know the big problem with all this, though? If they opened it right up and deregulated completely,
They wouldn't make any money.
all the farmers would convert to weed immediately.
Everybody
Every spare
would make
cubic
nothing.
meter that they have.
Blueberries, blueberries too. There's a lot of blueberries
No,
out
there'd
there.
be no more blueberries.
I don't know.
There'd be just.
No way they're ever going to stop growing avocados in Mexico,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Well, I don't know about Mexico, but here in Canada, there'd be no farmers growing anything but weed for quite a while until the prices kept going down because they could keep undercutting each other quite a bit and still make big bucks.
Well, you wouldn't want to give
And
up
after
on
a
some of
couple
the
of-
big agricultural. Like,
Well, you wouldn't want to
there's
give up
lots
on
of
them.
fruit out here.
You wouldn't want to give up on
Wine.
it, but when you're getting like 100
Wine in
pounds
the
for
Okanagan.
$100 for a pound of this one, and you're going to get like 60 cents for a pound of that one,
You know,
you know what you're going to grow, right? So after a while, after a couple of years, people would really want strawberries again. They might want,
Right.
you know, and they'd be willing to pay big
Through the
bucks
roof.
to get them. And some
Is the
farmers
black
would
market
be willing,
strawberries?
they'd be well, yeah, the price was right, you know.
Gray
They would all
market.
switch around, and eventually things would balance themselves out. But yeah, that's what would happen, I think, if you
Because
completely
strawberries would be
deregulated.
$20 a gram.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you can actually go to, I think, Japan and buy strawberries that are like $10 or $20 for one strawberry.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, or cherries. They got cherries in fancy cases that you can open up and shit. So there is something, because I've looked into this as to, you know, what other things out there are costing anything like what cannabis costs, like, and it's
Right.
almost nothing. But it is those specialty cherries and strawberries that go into
Yeah.
some of those marketplaces.
Well, and some of the high-end coffees. Could you imagine if coffee was illegal? How many underground little cafes would open up?
Well, what's the
selling their
price of a
coffee?
high-end coffee? How much you pay a pound for
Oh,
that?
there's
Right,
really
right.
expensive
This is
stuff.
expensive.
So what's
stuff,
really
yeah.
expensive? A pound of
I think it
coffee?
was like $5,000 or something. Yeah.
I wanna
There's
say
that
that-
coffee that cat poop sells.
cat
It's
poop.
really
Yeah,
expensive.
cat poop. Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
it's
It's
crazy
so
pricey.
crazy expensive.
Jamaica, there's some Blue
Yeah.
Mountain coffee that's it's tasty as heck with the waters from Jamaica.
But yeah,
Back
it's crazy
home,
expensive.
it's not the same taste because our water's different. you know?
Okay.
So I don't drink coffee, but I was recently asking a coffee drinking friend of mine, actually a Neil, and he said, well, at the local supermarket, there's all these choices. And I'm like, well, what is the most expensive one there? They got no $5,000 coffee at the local supermarket.
No, you got to order that
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
Just like those cherries and strawberries, something
Right.
like that, right? Because typically, a pound of coffee is not worth that much money. It's like $10 a pound or something. for
I
good
heard
stuff, right?
you could buy a bottle of air in China.
A
Something.
bottle of air.
Yeah. Bottle of air.
Yeah, it's like
Canadian
fresh
air,
mountain air.
straight out of the mountains.
Yeah.
Just open your empty bottle and go.
In places like Hong Kong and stuff where it smogs real bad.
Oh my
And
god.
saffron's expensive too.
Does it come
Saffron,
with a mask too?
because it takes like a football
Probably.
field worth of saffron to get it.
Just like Spaceballs. where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But no, nothing's like cannabis out there for you know the
You got
cost.
another one there, Spark Up. Come on.
Oh man, are you kidding me?
It's 420, 2 days before 20. What do you mean?
2
What are you
days
kidding me?
It's 4:18.
All right.
You got 48 hours, man.
We're back to this again. Should we try to build a tolerance, or should we hold off and you know, be able to have a day?
fuck it.
41 hours and 40 minutes.
Build the tolerance.
Like you counting down?
How can I get landlord in here? We don't.
He's already dressed, right?
Yeah, he's already dressed and ready to go.
We're gonna,
I can-
I'll talk to you.
I can-
My back could
move.
use a break. This chair's a
Okay,
little
yeah,
up.
okay.
Come
Well,
on, man,
there we
all
go.
right.
All right.
I'm gonna have a couple tugs of this though.
Yeah. Oh. All
I
right, we'll
need
do
to
a
spend
quick
the
swap
next
here.
48 hours resting up for 420, not working my ass off.
Hey, Neil.
Hey,
Yeah, Lord.
It's the Neil and Glenn show. I'm your host, landlord.
it pretty much is, yeah.
420, 42 hours and 35 minutes to go.
I'm gonna get Glenn to start doing the opening 20 minutes though.
All right.
Oh,
All right. Just write it out for me.
How you
It's
doing
not
there?
written out. There's nothing written.
You all ready for
Hey,
420?
landlord,
There you go.
somebody's making a payment on your land there.
Yeah.
Are you all getting ready for 420?
That's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, 420. Come
Come
see Neil at Thornton Park. Tell everybody,
Pick myself right
Thornton
out of the
Park.
picture frame. That's what I do.
Thornton
We have
Park.
a
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got my own.
You got your own now. Come
65
on.
doobie, big
65
table, big
pound
market,
dude.
Afro Man show afterwards, Mercules and them.
Mercules, I heard about Mercules. I never met the group, but everyone I talked to in the last couple of weeks.
A protestable.
They were like, I'm going. I said, here, take a picture of my backpack. I had a sign of the 420 event walking all over downtown Vancouver.
Nice.
We're advertising for them.
Nice.
I'm so excited. That's like Christmas for me. 420, all that marijuana
Fuck
green.
yeah.
Oh, Mary Jane, she's so.
It is like the marijuana Christmas.
Yeah.
It is,
Thousands of like-minded souls all
I could
chatting.
be Charlie Brown, or I could be whoever
Bunch
you
of little
want.
elves dressed in green running around handing out joints to people.
Yeah.
A couple in suits, I'm sure.
I don't know if I dance in little.
Butter
pointy
King used to
shoes,
be
but-
there, so you kind of had the.
How are you doing? Good to see you.
Well, Ted's
Ted
Ted'll be there.
landlord.
Ted will be there.
Ted
It's always
Ted
good to see
Scully.
Glenn.
Oh, Scully,
He
yes.
looks like Santa Claus.
Oh,
Oh,
nice
it's good
to
to
see
see
you,
Glenn,
landlord.
because I wear his canamatch.ca, but today
He
I'm
does.
not. Yeah. Today
That's right. You
What
got
the-
Blood Brothers on.
What the hell is Canamatch.ca?
Oh, that's where you can hook
That's
up
all
with
hot
someone
dates.
who smokes weed.
Looks like,
Oh,
yeah.
Good website.
That's where landlord gets all his hot dates.
I
That's
was gonna
it.
say, yeah, using that regularly.
Thank you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And we even have a Google Play Store app.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we're working on the Apple one, so
Cool.
yeah.
So
Thanks.
Canamatch is a dating site, but it's not necessarily just a dating site.
And a small
It's-
sponsor of the
It's
420.
better than the average dating site because if you're going to use it as a dating site, you get to find out right up front whether or not the person is weed friendly or not. And that's a good
Or
thing to
it
know.
could be weed-tarded. Weed-tarded, you never know.
You never know, but you know going into it if you're using Canamatch that chances are pretty good that the person's okay with a little bit of ingestion
Yeah,
of the
smoking it,
cannabinoids.
eating it, whatever.
And the other thing is you don't have to use it as a dating site, so there's no pressure. You don't have to have sex with the people.
Nope.
You could just use it to smoke some weed with people,
Be a new
like-minded people. Or you could use it to find people that know how to find weed, because maybe you're new in town in a different part of the country and you don't know where to find weed. Well, Canamatch.ca could probably match you with some cannabis, you know, and you don't have to date them. Like,
Well, the
seriously.
people
Wow.
can match you, yes.
Well,
Yeah.
so there you go. It's a wonderful service. I really appreciate it actually because of the way that our cannabis community has been divided over this
It
so-called
is very
legalization.
sad in a way, but
There's
then
been
it's good because you can
arrest.
spread out too. It's good and bad in either way, but still, even though there's separation and different irreconcilable differences and different people, but we're spreading out. Me, I had a dream that next marijuana march we close all the bridges down and close down Vancouver and get really going, man, and stand firm for the amendments and all people still getting arrested for weed and let the flower go, man.
I see.
Let it go, let it grow.
Let it grow, let it grow. That's
Yeah.
I'm all about Mary Jane. I love you all. Everyone's having differences though, and the thing is, we're standing up for the flower. That's the bottom line. Okay, I know everyone has different prices, different thoughts, different ideas. This person be wrong, this person. How we put our gifts together, our knowledge, and stand firm for what I believe
And our
in.
rent and free that plant.
And
right?
pay your
Yeah.
rent, right? Yeah.
Pay the rent.
Okay, man.
It is that people, we seem to be of kind of one heart on these things, or one mind on a lot of these things. There
We
are some
are.
differences amongst us, but for the most part, we're united as to how we actually feel about what we're looking for and what's right and wrong about cannabis. So I've always appreciated the cannabis community. As I've met new people, it seems all these people just feel like other family members, pretty quickly once you meet them.
100%.
And this is what's so fun about 420 these days in Vancouver here too, is people like Fred show up. I mean, I don't get to see Fred very often,
Yeah.
so it's really thrilling to be able to meet some of my old friends from different places. And
And that's just it. We keep up on social media, but it's not the same as being in person.
When
Yeah,
your
exactly.
social media
So much
friends
better to
come
be in
home,
person, yeah.
come here,
And
yeah.
Fred knows how to roll a joint. I've seen it. He gave me one. Oh.
didn't you win a joint rolling contest at the Prairie Cup or something?
I did.
Yeah, I
just
seem to
joined in
recall
a
that.
1 1/4 paper.
I came in third in one of those, which I still thought was pretty good.
I bet you got your canister over there with the joints in it, right? I know you.
Yeah, it is actually.
Perfect joints,
Okay,
man.
now I got more weed on me than I should have. So somebody's got, we were at Cannabis
Go back
Culture
on it.
Lounge yesterday, was it, or day before for the on Sunday for the Ted Smith protest
Yeah,
there.
we were smoking
And
a lot
I was
there.
definitely the weak link in the circle because the weed stopped at me. I ended up like I had 3 or 4 different joints in my hand at one time. I wasn't puffing on any of
Oh,
them.
wow.
And
Yeah.
No puff, puff,
Having
pass.
that
Just
chat
puff.
though. Lost some good conversation. That's why.
well, that's it. If the weed is good, then sometimes it just stops going. It's like you all of a sudden
You were weed tarded.
Yeah,
you get weed tarded.
Weed.
It was good. We had some great conversations there. It was nice to meet old friends and talk in person.
Yeah,
like you
see
say.
Ted.
Not the same as a
He's
Ted
always
Facebook,
on the
you know.
island. You don't get to see him very often. So.
Nope. On Facebook, you see the funny Nelly
bring it over.
person. You get to shake your head at my humor.
You have good humor. That's for sure. You've brightened up a lot of people over the years. You know.
Well, I'm taking over, man.
Because you leave me no choice but to chuckle.
Yeah.
No
You know?
taking over, just sharing is caring, my friend. Just keep
sharing
on
is caring.
smiling.
I read it and then I have no choice but to chuckle. I'm just forced right into it. I have no choice. I find myself sitting there going, yeah, that's pretty good. So I don't know where it comes from, and hopefully it keeps coming.
Wherever I find them, I share them.
Nice.
And if I make your day, then it makes my day too.
Nice. And so what are you doing in Calgary now? What's your main thing?
Working at a shop and helping out at a medical facility.
You want to plug the shop?
Sure. Alberta Growers and Beyond 420. We're a grow shop, provide animal feed, and we also have a accessory store in the back.
Nice.
I've been in that area of field for 15 years, and I know it well. And my partner Dave, Mr. Elder, he's been in his growing field since he was like 15 years old.
Nice.
So he was well knowledged in it, and
How do people find you?
Go to
easiest
Airdrie.
way is on Facebook, but you can also find us on 116 1 Ave Northeast, Airdrie, Alberta.
I see.
If we can't figure out an answer or don't have something in, we can bring it in a heartbeat. And personally, I haven't had an answer. We haven't been able to answer.
If there's an answer needed, you would find it.
I'm sure we would.
If
Yes.
there's an answer that could happen, you could find it. Some things you can't answer. There's just
MacGyver fixing.
no answers for
101.
some things in life, but everything that you can find an answer for, you can find the
So
answer.
that's in Airdrie, Alberta. Wow, right on.
I remember Airdrie.
I've been there.
I thought,
I passed through there collecting rent one time.
were we coming back from the Prairie Cup? I believe we were. And it was a hell of a snowstorm. And I decided to go through Airdrie instead of the regular route, and through Canmore.
Snow.
And all those people that went through Canmore got stopped, got stuck, did not make it out of there. Like, nobody got through there that night. Everybody had to sleep in their cars, try to find a hotel room somewhere. And we were in this little convoy coming from Airdrie through the deep snow, only single lane. Every once in a while there'd be a car coming the other way, and we'd all have to move over and make it work. There was cars in the ditch as we were going all the way along, but we made it out of there and we made it home that night where nobody else did.
It snuck it right on through.
We did. We had to wait one time for a tow truck to get one of those cars out of the ditch that was there, so we just had to sit and wait for 25 minutes and watch the whole operation take place, and then we could proceed on again. But that's what I remember about Airdrie.
One of the viewers is asking, will there be a live stream from 420 this year?
I think there will. I think there might be a few of them, but
Okay.
I can't tell you how to find them or where they will
On the
be.
Cannabis Culture page, probably.
Well, I don't know, maybe.
I'm sure I'll go live, so you'll catch
Yeah,
random.
there
feed.
will
go.
be
Share it
feed.
and I'll share
you
it.
go. Fred Bell's
I'll
gonna
be,
go live.
I'll be going out there sometime too.
Yeah, somebody help me with this.
Yeah. But yeah, I think there is a Cannabis Culture page live stream. We're not sure yet.
So we're just kind of getting 420 back after 3 years of pandemic. There's a lot of chaos to get it to work this year that we
Yeah.
didn't have before, because previously we were the same basic group of organizers year after year. We just tweaked things every year as we learned a little bit from the events. But this time we're not recreating the wheel or anything, but we are including a bunch of stuff that wasn't included before. We're going to see how it all works. We don't know, but we're planning on this being the start of another evolution of 420s in Vancouver. Growing it back into that
Yeah.
epic event that we had back in 2019 and beyond that as
Beyond
well.
that, yeah.
So, and especially if we can get some real traction with regards to getting legalization that works for everybody, that we could be happy with. If it turned into more of a celebration than a protest, then the future of 420 looks pretty good. If we're legal and we're not, having to break laws anymore, if it's just the community coming together like we always have, then we could get government permits and sanctions, and we could get mainstream sponsors, and we could have super amazing entertainment, and the future looks amazing for 420 if we progress the way that we think we should.
Well, and that's one of the things that I'm so hopeful for, and that's why I'm glad I'm able to be here. But I came for Ted Smith for his rally, let everybody know that the VCBC is needed, support the cause, because there's not very many truly medicinal places out there for medical patients to go. That reasonable access is shot. We've already preached to the choir on that. I'm also going to say it brings a chance to meet with people you see on social media all the time. But meeting in person, as we said, is always a little bit more key. An epic road journey with Jeff, and away we go. Here we are. And
Interesting, right?
I'm welcomed in because I'm I'm just a sibling from another diddling, I on the other side of the province, and I mean, like, we're just over the mountains right here,
You're on the other side of the mountains, yes.
And that's it,
You made it over the Rockies, man?
We did.
Barely.
Holy shit.
Barely. It was interesting.
We did not have the Terminator, but we had a bad alternator.
And he came from the prairies.
And on that note,
No.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
a big
We're all
thanks to the
Really happy
cannabis
to have you
community
guys
for
here. It's
getting us
important,
here.
I think, that we have our
Thanks
family
for
come
coming.
and visit, and that we take these opportunities to get together. I think that's important.
100%.
Yeah, there's been quite a splitting of society in general with the pandemic and people being isolated and staying apart and all that kind of stuff. But with our movement as well, very clever of these people that have given us this legalization that we have here, where they take the majority of the people that are involved in the movement, because they're just the fringe people. Those are the people that come to the events. They're not the ones that put the events on. They're not the activists that are really hard at it because of their own personal stories going on. They're just the general public that sympathizes with our movement. For those people, they're the ones who think we got legalization. What more do you want? The prices didn't change for them, so that they're happy enough with that. I mean, yeah, they're high, but they always were high, so they don't really care or understand that they're being gouged severely. But so many of those people just aren't going to come out and support a protest. They're going to come to 420 because 420 is awesome, and we provide all this entertainment to bring people in, and there's such a good variety of cannabis and stuff. But for just a regular protest, what the government's done with their legalization has made it very difficult to bring people out for a protest. Like the majority of them are like, well, I don't need to protest anymore. I got my weed, I can walk down the street smoking a joint with a cop right there, and I'm not going to end up in handcuffs. I'm good.
But you're not thinking about the 4 people that live on your block out of 50 that have chronic pain or have like an illness that is deemed to be assisted through proof and science, and just your own friends, my own friends, people that have been around us with all these other ailments that prove on a daily basis.
Yeah, if they don't have that going on, they don't
help.
understand it. It's our job to try to communicate that to them and make them realize that's an important thing. But also, there's still the fact they're wasting a whole bunch of tax dollars, like a whole bunch of tax dollars on trying to enforce the Cannabis Act and run this protection racket. And that's everybody's business.
I don't pay taxes, man.
Okay, it's not your business, but everybody else's, it's their business, right? I mean, if you're paying taxes, you can pay some taxes.
No, man, I don't pay taxes.
No, yeah, I guess
The
not.
government don't deserve it.
I'll give you that.
Hey, we got a hobbit in the house, you know that? We got a hobbit here. Yeah, I seen a hobbit back there, yeah.
She gave me no indication she wanted to come on camera.
Oh, the
She
hobbit's
can if
in
she
town.
wants, but you want to say hi, no? But
I
we
hang out
do
with
have the,
dogs all day.
the pleasure of having Talia Easterbrook here.
Talia,
We're all still in shock and mourning the loss of our great friend Bert, and I still don't have any words to say. I'm at a loss about that whole thing. We've lost Greg Williams as well, and same thing, and so more.
It's a long list.
It's a long list.
It's a painfully long list.
It's a painfully long
But
list.
she came to borrow a phone book so she sit when she drives now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Landlord likes to tease her about her height.
She's the only hobbit I know.
She's not short. Vertically challenged.
Actually,
is the
her
new
son is this much
technical
away
term.
from
Politically correct,
He's
right?
been he's been incorrigible since he killed it at the Mum Cup.
I love you guys.
And speaking of that, Mike Rita's in town as well.
Oh yeah, I ran into him upstairs at
At the
CC, and he was like, I got pictures. It's on Facebook. He's looking pretty hazed, but I just made sure that we were both looking really hazed.
I see. You should have brought him with you. I would have loved to have had him here.
Yeah.
He bailed out to go back. I think get some like.
Yeah, well, he
Poor
works pretty
Rita,
hard.
he
That guy.
needed sleep. He took the red eye on the flare.
He's one of the hardest working
Oh,
comedians in Canada.
He's a
He's on the go all the time.
But he's gonna
Much
make
love
us
to
laugh
Reed.
our asses off tomorrow, so I can't
Yeah.
wait for that shit.
much love to Reed. So I appreciate you, brother.
oh yeah,
Much
oh, yeah.
love, yeah.
And hoping to see him in person as well coming up here. It's been quite a while.
Go see him tomorrow.
Can I meet that guy?
I got a fat ass cannon I'm gonna give the boy, and here's hoping he gets all hazed up.
Nice.
Last year he slept on my couch and loved it. 3 days on my couch.
That's what he told you anyway.
Well, no, he told Instagram that. He told Instagram that. It was all over Instagram, so.
And
Nice.
it didn't cost you that much.
No.
Well, you know, let me
Just
sleep on your couch.
Just your place on the couch.
I know, you can sleep on my couch. You never asked.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Rents too, though. You sleep on
Rent,
his couch.
Yeah. You gotta be my
This
landlord.
guy,
And he's the
I've
fucking
been to
landlord.
his place once. I've been to his place once. His native sister lives on the street from me.
Yeah.
I
Down the
went
street.
to have the honor to go to Glenn's place and
Yeah, I've been to Glenn's place.
watch the
Thank you.
movie. Yeah.
I got a new place now.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
up on
in a
Best.
new
I'm
place.
up on Best now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
On Best Ave.
Well, that's at the old place then.
You were at the old place, yeah.
Still in Michigan.
Where
Yeah,
the
still
where
in
the,
Mission.
where
Yeah,
the bear incident.
Yep.
Where 8 out of 10
Yeah,
Glenn was
that's
born.
it. 8 out of 10 right there.
Yeah.
You did say hi to Al for me today?
Yeah.
All right, good.
The
Yeah,
guy who gave him that name.
that's nice, yeah. Al the Alchemist. All right, well, it's 5:30. You got to do your CSP thing.
Inside.
1 hour.
Or
It's
are you going to do
well,
it?
well, what I was going to talk about a little bit was this ridiculous ruling by the Supreme Court in
Quebec.
Canada, in
Quebec.
Quebec, that it's
Okay, well,
constitutionally
let's Jeff come
justified.
here.
Yeah, I have,
Here.
opinion, I
Come
have
on
opinions
back.
on
All
this.
right, Jeff.
Well, we're talking about reasonable access, so you know
Yeah,
I'm fucking pissed off
holy
about it.
shit.
Quebec. Well, Manitoba's up next.
Yeah. It was
Right.
Yannick Murray Hall that brought the case forward in Quebec there.
Right.
And, I mean, the gangs have such tight control.
They
in Quebec.
100% control.
They
Yeah,
100%,
yeah,
man.
yeah. It's a monopoly for them, right? And that's exactly, if you look at the ruling and what the judge said, they talk about that monopoly,
Yeah.
about that control. They just don't talk about who's in control
Yeah,
of
that's
it.
right.
It's super fucked up. So, and it's a broken system, and I feel sorry for the people in that province that are now stuck under this governed authority of fucking rule of thumb of control to the point where you can't even grow your own cannabis in your home as you're allowed to federally. The federal laws are clear. I don't know how it's even an argument, let alone for them to state that they believe that those to be justified. It's constitutional is what they're saying, that it's justified. So
I couldn't
where do
believe the ruling.
from the Supreme
Can't be
Court,
true.
where do you go next from that?
There's nowhere to go.
Right.
Yeah, how does that do anything for patients at all?
And
Access
that's a
law?
bad precedent moving forward.
Well,
Other jurisdictions in
Manitoba's up next.
They're different. I mean, they can argue differently.
Well, at
but
least they're
still,
an agricultural-based community, so they have an argument that there are people that have the ability to grow.
Well, it'll be
But, I
interesting
mean,
to
if
see
you're-
if they can win that argument. Then there's going to be those two precedents that are
Right. But in
in
Canada,
opposition.
I don't understand how our govern of law shifted, where we became kind of like the United States, where each province now controls their separate entities of control. I thought
A
federal law was across the board. The federal government claims that marijuana is legal, that you can carry up to 30 grams if you're an adult to consume in that province, that you can grow up to 4 plants in your home. So why are they upholding this to be constitutional? It's
You know what I
beyond-
found
it's
out on the
beyond
Freedom
me.
Tours is that from community to community across Canada, there's all kinds of different laws that you would have no idea about if you weren't
100%.
from
They
that
should-
little community. They make up their own shit all
Right.
the time.
Bylaws, yep.
And it's crazy. It's like you don't know what the trouble you're in when you go into some town because you're not from there and they don't post it anywhere really. Maybe it is somewhere, but you're not going to the courthouse and reading that they've changed these laws here. But it really does seem that we're living in little separate burgs all across Canada where the local governments and then the provincial governments can get away with whatever they want, without a federal government coming along and doing much about it in most cases.
Well-
You get the charter rights and that's where you fight it federally.
What about the thousands and thousands of dollars spent in court fees to take these huge conglomerate giants to the table? These powerhouses that make the rules don't follow any of them. You can clearly see that in the decision with Quebec's ruling.
And they don't even
And they
ever
should be
really get to a
discussing that.
decision in most cases. They know how to drag it out and drag it out
100%.
and drag it out.
So the
they
people
play
who
the
invest, they
system.
invest their time, they invest their effort, they invest their
They
money.
break everybody that's up
They
against
they
them.
fundraise, or they have lucrative people to help them behind them, or they, who knows, they scrape every dollar they can, having steak nights. The point is these people put their heart on the line. They're fighting the biggest possible giant they can. It's David and Goliath if I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Like, we read about these stories, or were told these stories as we grew up. Like, and good is supposed to prevail.
If
And
it
you
wasn't
don't.
that way, we
You
wouldn't be still fighting the way that we
you
are.
see these rulings, and how do you have faith in the system anymore? And how people aren't angry about it still. Just because you can go to your rec market, you need people to hear this. Just because you can go step into a store and buy what you think is quality cannabis, you're wrong. You're lied to, you're marketed to, you've been sold a fucking lie.
And you're paying a fine right up front. They're not bringing you into a courtroom to get the fine out of you. You're just paying it right there. Because you shouldn't be paying that high a price for anything, because a lot of it's going to taxes to governments that don't deserve it in the first place. They have no justification in collecting
To
it.
regulate the very program that they say they gave to us.
One day.
I'm sorry, it was running fine before you came along when you called me a criminal.
Certainly finer than this.
Right.
You know?
One day before legalization, 6 laws. One day after legalization, 65 laws.
And if there's laws about it, then it ain't legalized.
That's right.
And
If
we're
there's
still going to
penalties for
continue
it-
to fight. If there's rulings across the board like this that happen in Quebec, then you're going to continue to lose, and we're going to continue to fight.
And
Yeah.
medical stores should have the amount of stores that there is recreationally. There should be medical
Medically,
stores for
yeah.
every one of
Well,
those.
that's the access.
instead,
That's the thing.
Right.
You know,
What
And
we're
a
fighting
patient
for
shouldn't have to go.
with the CSP here, what we're fighting for is to have low barrier access community cannabis stores with a piece of paper on the wall with a signature on it from some important person that allows you to be there and to operate, and that low barrier store should be duplicated all over this neighborhood and in every neighborhood across Canada that's like this, so that
100%.
so that it's really easy for people who are struggling to find themselves a store that they can walk into where they're safe, that it's discreet, and they can get access
There
low
should be
barrier.
there should be a cannabis consumption project next to every safe injection site.
Supervised injection.
Supervised injection site.
And maybe
so anywhere
every, maybe
that
every
safe
alcohol consumption
or
site.
consumption sites are allowed, yeah,
You know?
like bars, right?
Exactly.
There should be that availability.
Yeah,
I
if
should
I
be
could-
able to go smoke a joint in a lounge like you can go drink a fucking whiskey.
And what it really is that
100%.
what it really is that our public
Normalize it.
servants should not have the right to take those things away in the first place.
100%.
no, we didn't ask them to even
It's-
approach
it
that.
should
They
be
just
outside
inflicted
their
it on
realm
us.
of what they can influence with us. But our whole democracy is broken. I mean, for years and years
For
and
sure.
years, these people have gotten in there and they've done whatever they can through whatever loophole to gain more and more power, to be able to do more and more and take away our rights more and more. And they've done it to the point where we don't really understand.
Right.
You know, just how not free we are here. Although you can have a glimpse of it by realizing that having a few little dried flowers on your possession could get you behind bars. You're obviously not free. But we got a glimpse of it during the pandemic, where the Freedom Truckers, went to Ottawa to have a conversation, and they're treated like terrorists.
Saw the
and
hypocrisy
now they're
that
having their
happened there.
bank accounts
Just
frozen,
pocket
and now all this other we're
Hypocrisy,
holy
that's
shit,
it, right?
And they were-
Independent commissions that are hired by the very government, that's controlled by CBC Media,
Exactly.
that's paid off by government, by our tax dollars. All of it's our money, which is insane. We literally pay them to treat us like this.
I know.
It's
insane.
It's Stockholm syndrome.
Well, yeah, it is, and it's
And
very
oppressive.
clever on their part.
They're fucking
They're fucking
oppressive.
brilliant, man.
They are, for sure.
They use our people and our money to gain their interests to act against us. Yeah, that's why I'm still doing this. Why you're still doing this. That's why we can't fucking stop. Because
So
how
I
do you
don't-
live in a world that's so fucking broken like that?
To openly grow your 4 plants in your backyard
And plant
or
them
in
at
your
City
house
Hall.
and take pictures of it and
Put them
have
in community
rallies
gardens.
until they charge enough people that the laws change, or that you enact enough chaos that they change by just simply disobeying. So that's my salute and my ask of the people of Quebec. that you just simply defy their rules and do it anyways. You need the seeds or the clippings, you call me, I'll hook you up. I'll send it out for free.
You remember the Freedom Tour?
Yeah, it was great times.
It was amazing, to go across Canada and meet so many people and hear so many stories and see so many different situations that people were in. Well, something that was frequent was I'd go into a small town somewhere and there'd be people there that would come and talk to me about their situation, which was that they had a few plants growing. Nobody knew. Nobody could know.
Nobody
Small
could know,
towns,
for sure.
nobody can know.
Everybody talks.
And they're using it because their mother is sick, or an elderly family
Right,
member
right.
is finding great relief from this.
Right.
And they're hiding. They can't let anybody know. They don't want to order seeds online because they don't want to put their name on anything like that and take a chance. Sometimes they get lucky enough to be able to come to Vancouver and sit across from Greg Williams at Mark's seed desk there
Right,
and
some
purchase
seeds.
some seeds and take them back there. But really, I brought seeds to all these towns. That's how I financed the trip. I had donations from seed producers,
Right,
and I
right.
sold them cheap to people so that they got easy access, and I got what I needed to make the trip work. But oh my God, the stories that I'd be told and the glimpses into people's lives that I got, how they need those plants. Bill Vandergraaf, remember the police officer from Winnipeg?
Yeah, I remember Bill. He's a great
His
guy.
whole thing was he was growing some plants for his sick wife.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's how he became the activist that he became.
For sure.
You
Did
people in
amazing
Quebec,
work.
can you just imagine out of your population how many people there are growing some plants for a family member, for a sick family member
Helping.
that are now still going to be treated as criminals or forced to not do it, for fear of the penalties that would come from that. That are just not going to be able to
Well, they're
properly
only going
look
to be
after themselves.
extortionist fine penalties. They're just going to come down on you.
Yeah.
And I love a system where we're okay with saying, okay, I don't find you criminally responsible for your behavior anymore. I find you financially responsible. Mm-hmm. And that's extortion at its finest. You can't say, oh, I'll just fine you for your behavior I think is wrong. Right? Because we wrote rules that are impossible for you to follow. It's ludicrous and it's wrong.
Yeah.
And the fact that we allow it to occur, the fact that ruling even happened is unbelievable. It's unconstitutional. Shame on the Supreme Court of Quebec. I think they should be disgusted by their choice, their ruling.
Shame on the doctors.
Shame
of
on
Canada
anybody who
for
lobbied to
not
make it
stepping
happen.
up and telling the truth about this
I
stuff.
would rather be illegally alive than legally dead. And
Yeah.
it comes down to it, if marijuana is so illegal in Quebec right now, then I would still continue to strive forward in my grow and my ability to have that medicine, pure and simple. Regardless of their law, because if you're now stuck back on the opioids or whatever, all they've done is led you down a path of no cash and a cure, right?
Or we implore people to find like-minded doctors that are willing to sign as many patients as possible.
Wouldn't that
With
be
that-
nice?
And then
Wouldn't that be nice
bombard
to find?
and then flood Health Canada with 1,000 new applications a day. Like, I implore you guys to
They
consider
don't
these choices.
they don't answer the ones that they're getting sent now.
That's what I'm saying. But
It's
let's just see what can happen.
I'm not trying to be defeatist, because I believe we still have to carry on some hope, and we have to keep working at this stuff, and we have to give it our very best shot when we have a chance to do that.
I look forward to seeing
But,
what comes down for Manitoba, and when does anybody know the dates on when they
I'm
go?
not sure if I look forward to these
They
things.
considered what was going to happen in Quebec to really play a role in the ruling in Manitoba. But fingers crossed that the judge is more reasonable. They can see that people have the right to grow this plant.
I wonder if
That
Kirk
does
is running.
no harm.
I wonder if Kirk has taken that case as well.
I believe so. Yes, I
And if
do.
not, I hope that whoever the lawyer is can take a look at what happened with Kirk in Quebec and make some adjustments. You know?
Right.
Figure out where the loopholes are that need to be.
Well, I
patched
mean,
or
we need to
whatever.
celebrate the small wins. Look at what happened with Pat at Best Buds.
That's a good one.
And they won. They threw out the CBD charge. Right? They knew that was coming. That came when
We
they
talked
threw
at
out.
length about that on this show. That's
So-
the Jerry Martin. And,
So we need to celebrate the
Siemens
wins.
Warnicki case.
That's right.
Where these dispensary owners in Saskatchewan were charged with selling cannabis outside the Cannabis Act, and they
Years ago.
brought forward a charter challenge that took years to get through the courts.
That
But
we
they
won.
quite handily, yeah. And a great
And I
ruling
say
out
that
of
that's a huge win and sets precedents for medical cases across the board.
Absolutely.
For reasonable access being wrong. We need to
As does
stand
the
on
Howell
what we
case.
have. Right.
The Howell case as well. You
100%.
read that judgment, and it's all about low barrier access
100%.
and reasonable access. So, Yeah, I'm optimistic about the near future for sure. I'm not sure about being optimistic about what Manitoba does. Because of what just happened in Quebec, it's like, oh my God, they can really do that, and if they
Right.
can,
then
there's a bit of
it's hard to
precedent.
have hope.
So
Right.
it is a little bit on that front, except that it
We'll
all is going to come crashing down. They can't maintain all of this for very much longer. There's a number of people coming at it from different angles.
Well, I'm excited to see where Ted's cases go, where your cases go. Like it's exciting. It's an exciting
That
time
I'm
to see
excited about.
these challenges that you guys can continue the fight. I salute all the work that you've done. I've always had your back since the word go, and
Just
I will
part of the
continue.
team,
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was great, and good to have you in town. We need to have more 420s.
Oh.
Maybe Cannabis. You guys come back with
It's
Cannabis.
been a blast
Yeah,
putting
yeah,
faces
my
to
favorite.
names and all kinds of stuff down here. Like I know everybody on Facebook land.
You don't get here very much.
Through
do you,
the
Fran?
He doesn't.
But I
Had to
don't
drag
know
this
them in
hippie from the
person,
middle
so
of
to
nowhere.
meet everybody in person. I thought
Very cool.
I thought
The
you were
Chinook's almost
taller.
snowing in.
Sorry.
That's why she's the
Thanks. It was a good show. Thank you.
Very good.
Again.
Thanks for coming. I'm going to wrap
Really
up with
appreciate
the summary of the CSP and where we're at.
Yeah, we can't
And
go
we'll-
outside because you have a low battery.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so you might as well you can continue
Oh,
this
so
way.
talk until
I'm
I'm
running
gone.
I'm running your power right now, so you can
Well,
finish the
I-
show.
Okay.
But
We're
you,
not going to go look outside.
I-
Well, we will. I'll try to summarize real quick here, and then we'll
try.
walk out there for a minute or two.
all
and
right.
Shut off. and
Well,
everybody-
we've got 15%.
Oh, I see. Okay, we're on.
15.
But it is charging right now a little bit.
No, it's maintaining right now.
Maintaining.
It's
15
maintaining
is
right
enough.
now.
15
So-
is enough to do the weekly weather report and to have.
All right,
events
all right,
of
just
the
letting you
other-
know.
So,
Okay,
Jeffrey,
so,
I'm
yeah.
just maintaining.
Just maintaining. We're not doing
Yeah.
This is a battery to a battery. So
That's like-
just maintaining.
That's exactly like what the federal government is doing with the opioid crisis. They're just maintaining.
Yeah.
They're putting in things to provide people with a safe supply, they say, so they can maintain their addiction and maintain all the ways that the government is monetizing the overdose crisis. It's really quite a travesty for sure. And we at the CSP are, kind of the opposition to that. The CSP, for those of you who might not know, is the Cannabis Substitution Program. And we started out over 6 years ago now providing high-dose cannabis edibles to people that would come and line up for hours to get them twice a week for about 3.5 years. And during that time, we got the city to approve a motion unanimously to support what we were doing. And in meeting with the city, they said we should get a storefront, and we did. And then after being in the storefront for a little while, we were told that the city really couldn't give us a license until the federal government did. So about 2.5 years ago, after 4 or 5 months in the store, we put together this application to Health Canada and submitted it to them for licenses for our operation of providing cannabis high-dose edibles for free in a program called the Cannabis Substitution Program, but also to be able to provide cannabis for sale through the Healing Wave Dispensary, and that became very crucial in fighting the overdose crisis. Because what we learned when we started selling cannabis to facilitate paying the rent on the space that we were told to go and get, and to the other costs that are incurred when you're open and available and providing cannabis as an option for people 8 hours a day most of the week, 6 days a week to start with, 7 days a week for over a year now, that we found out that there's a huge demographic of people that require discreet access to cannabis that won't be part of a program to identify themselves as addicts that need to get off and are looking for high-dose edibles. They need to be able to just come in, get some advice, get what they need, and walk out. And so that became a very crucial part of the access that we were providing for people, and that's also part of our application to Health Canada. However, Health Canada does not want us to provide cannabis to people, especially high-dose edibles, that don't have a doctor on board to monitor their use to make sure that they're finding the right dose rate, which is very nice thought on their part to help people find the right dose and everything. But when you're eliminating people from access because they can't get that or won't get that or whatever the case may be, well, then it's not so nice at all. In fact, it's quite an attack on that individual who now can't access the program because they're not going to be able to comply with getting that doctor's permission. So that, along with the requirement that all of our supply be from legal sources, which we're more than willing to comply with, we would certainly like to have the sources that we've been using become legal for for the most part, that would be the best way to solve that issue. We've been demonstrating for 6 years now that our suppliers are responsible in what they're providing us. We've never had a single complaint at all about any of the products that we've been putting out there. We test everything that comes in before it goes out anyway. So it's not that difficult for the federal government, the Health Canada, to be able to figure out how to give us the license that would allow us to continue what we're doing, but on an expanded basis so that we can reach even more people. But instead, Health Canada sends us now their second intent to deny for the 2 reasons that I gave you there. And we responded within the 30 days that we were given, and we'll just now wait and see what Health Canada does. I think our response was fairly powerful, and maybe it can sway some minds over there, as it simply articulated the truth about our situation here, in that, you know, bottom line, we've been rescuing hundreds of people here for the last 6 years through the use of high-dose edibles, assisting them through withdrawal, and that's a pretty serious bottom line, that we've gotten all these people off of those hard drugs. So that's something that really, you know, is enough, you would think. But there's considerably more than that as well. You know, we've proven the efficacy, we've proven the safety of these things. We've also shown that what cannabis can do for people is assist with the drivers of addiction. So the things that get people onto those hard drugs in the first place, and the things that are there in place that keep people from exiting those substances, is something that cannabis can address quite nicely, as in you know, helping people sleep, helping people with their mood, helping people with you know, other issues of pain and anxiety and depression and things like that, things that to drive people to using hard drugs. So there is no question our application is sound. Health Canada simply is proving to be too corrupt to be able to allow for low barrier access. That the people that they're obviously protecting in their stance here against allowing what we're doing are people that are trying to cash in on the whole cannabis legalization, where they've maintained artificially and unjust prices that are, you know, higher even than what they were during Prohibition era in Canada. Well, it's Prohibition still raging on, it's just in a little bit different form. We now have a new player on the field. The Trudeau cartel has come to play, and they've got quite a bit of the grass that they've captured, and they're going to continue to try to protect that grass with taxpayers' dollars and force people into using the legal cannabis that is outpriced and out of reach to marginalized people, to the people that need it the most, to the sick Canadians that need to use it on a daily basis. And so that's what we're doing here at the Cannabis Substitution Program, is that we're trying to get Health Canada to give us a license for that. In the meantime, we're continuing our service as we always have. We're not able to continue in the store because of, like I said, Health Canada not supporting us in a timely fashion and the city not being willing to do that. So we've been operating out of an RV for almost 2.5 years now, and parked right out in front of where the store was, and hopefully one day again will be, as it's the address on our application. But meanwhile, it's worse than that, because we didn't get these licenses from Health Canada. We were raided by the VPD because they felt that they needed to, you know, do what they were supposed to do for the Cannabis Act. And so they charged us with selling without a license, even though we're 1 block away from them, and we've been there for years, and they know all about us. And I even presented the program to them before we started. But we did get charged with selling without a license, and now we're going to go to court on that next October. We've turned that into a charter challenge. So we'll see where that goes. And in the meantime, well, we're just carrying on. You know, every day without a raid is a good day. And here we are, another day, another week, another THC show dedicated to the pursuit of low barrier access community cannabis stores. And let's go out for a brief moment and just see what's going on, so you get a little sense of the reality that we got going on here that we're talking about. And of course, our weekly weather report on the THC show is, well, it's a little bit gray, it's a little bit cold, but it's not really wet. And the most important thing is, what's the weather going to be like in 2 days? And for that, it depends on who you ask. If you go to Google, Google's going to tell you that it's going to rain, and that's that for that. But you know, the local news broadcasts as early as this morning are saying that actually Thursday is going to be a pretty good day, and it looks like there might not be rain at all on that day.
Not till the evening.
So that'll be great.
Yep.
Anyway, here we are. We're in the heart of the downtown east side of Vancouver. You can give a shot down here. There's nobody down there. That's kind of our one of our local lanes. This is our RV. Kind of had the sign, got the heck beat out of it a little
Looks
bit.
like they did, yeah.
Gonna have to add
Some wood back.
In any case, here we are. This is our RV. It's a busy road this time of day on a Tuesday, which is good. The cars, lots of them come through here all the time, so we display our signs to let everybody know what we're doing here. We've never tried to hide anything in any way, shape, or form. We understand that what we're doing really helps people, and so we believe in it strongly, and we're proud of what we do here. How y'all doing?
We're doing good, boss.
That's good. We have ongoing testing of our products here. It's that have been trained for years and years in cannabinoids and what's good and what's not. And we do have ongoing testing of our products here as we go on a daily basis. And these guys are soldiers. They are able to do their job, despite the rigors that are imposed upon you when involved in heavy drug testing all day, every day. Also a demonstration. Everything we do is a demonstration. Every day we open up here, it's another day of demonstrating that this is helpful to people. This is something that the neighborhood really appreciates, and that this is something that the government should support, especially when we're dealing with a public health emergency of overdose deaths and all the different problems that are associated with that. It's not just the overdose deaths that is a part of this healthcare emergency. It's all those people that are caught up in this addiction because of overprescribing in most cases by doctors that are suffering the ills of that addiction. The ones that die, they're dead and gone. They're no longer anything to worry about. The ones that aren't dead yet, those are people that we should really be concerned about. Those are the people that we really need to reach to help them get off of that path that they're on before that path ends up in death and overdose, as has happened to so many people. Over 11,000 people have overdosed and died, but so many thousands and tens of thousands more are walking around, still living their lives. They've overdosed, and they've had serious health issues that cost all of us. It costs them and their families and all of society, because they're suffering the consequences of having overdosed. So we feel it's very crucial that we have this option available to people, that they can come to a place and discreetly get all the different forms of cannabis that might help them, and use that as an option other than the other drugs. Every dose of cannabis that goes out that window, be it through the CSP, be it through our program of not allowing anybody to walk away without something to help them, or be it where people come and purchase from us. Every single dose that goes out there is potentially one less dose of those other hard, risky drugs that people are dying from and overdosing on. So that's why it's so crucial that we be allowed to do this, and that this be allowed to be easily available everywhere, all over the place where this epidemic is raging. That's pretty much what I got to say. You guys are all busy. George is over there rolling away like he always does.
Battery's getting low.
Say hi, George. You can just turn the camera on, George.
I did. Hi, George. Watch out for the tree.
We got Kevin, and we got Dave.
Yep.
Dave's too busy to even wave, probably. He doesn't care.
I'll be right with you, boss.
Well, it's all good. These guys, work their tail off here. We're busy every day, and there's all kinds of things that come up every day that require a little bit of thought and compassion and understanding. And I'm very thrilled to be able to work with the people that I do, that are able to provide that to this neighborhood, and we're very well received in this neighborhood because of that. So anyway, that's kind of it for the day. 420 in 2 days, what can I say? If you're not in Vancouver, and you can't get here before 420, well, have your own 420 wherever you are, and make it epic. We're going to do our very best to make it epic here in Vancouver, and we'll see you next week. Do what you can to make the world a better place. treat yourself well, be kind to others, but mostly be kind to yourself. And before I see you, what I very much expect of everybody is that you will have had as much fun as you can, because that's the real important thing in life. See you later.